leader in motorsports coverage, welcomes you live to Martinsville Speedway in Virginia for the NASCAR Winston Cup Haynes 500. And for the second consecutive week, we have absolutely perfect weather conditions with a temperature in the upper 70s and no chance of rain. Well, as speeds have gone up on the racetracks throughout the Winston Cup Series this year, they have also gone up in the pit area. With more on that, here's Dr. Jerry Punch.
Thanks, Bob, and hello, everyone, as they fire them up here at Martinsville, Virginia. Remember, last week, North Wilkesboro, a record set for the first time. The 16-second barrier broken on pit road. 4 teams turned pit stops, 4 tires, fuel, and chassis adjustment under 16 seconds, led by Rusty Wallace's team right behind me, 15.2 seconds. Now, they're pitting in the midpoint of pit road today. Another team they'll be competing against, also under 16 seconds last week, right in front of them, Ernie Irvin. They will need those 15-second plus stops today and a very, very tight and close pit road here at Martinsville. John Kernan.
Jerry, Darrell Waltrip has made the switch. He's gone to Goodyear's from Hoosiers. He's qualified 16th. That gets him a good pit spot here on the front stretch. Darrell, the most competitive driver here. 38 races, 11 wins, 25 top 10 finishes. Bob?
But unfortunately, one driver who will not be in action here this afternoon is the veteran Harry Gant. In his final series or season of racing, he missed today's event because he did not qualify fast enough, and this is his first race miss after 118 consecutive starts. His last miss was April of 1990.
And that was when his father passed away.
Our Busch pole sitter for today's race is Rusty Wallace, who qualified at 92.9 miles an hour, and for the first time in 7 races, we did not have a new track record set. Outside the front row is the Daytona 500 winner Sterling Marlin, qualifying at .027 seconds behind Rusty Wallace. Going in row number 2 here this afternoon will be Jeff Bodine and Jimmy Spencer. In the third row will be Ernie Irvin and Mark Martin. As we take a look at the rest of the starting lineup, gentlemen, what do we look for in today's race?
I think we're going to look the same old Martinsville. Brakes, going to be a big story. Also RPMs. Ned, these guys are talking about 9,000. It just seemed like yesterday 8,000 was a magic number.
It's hard to imagine that an engine could stay together turning those kind of RPMs. However, they don't turn that many RPMs for any long period of time. There's Darrell Waltrip, who starts back in the 16th position in the 8th row. And this next row we see, that'll be the last of those. Ken Schrader and Greg Sachs are the last ones who are pitting on the front stretch. 18 pits on the front, 18 pits on the back.
And those guys on the back at decided disadvantage. Look at Dale Jarrett having trouble qualifying this year. Last 2 weeks, Ned, he's had pretty good qualifying runs. 20th year in Martinsville.
Well, this is the second time this year that he got in on first round qualifying, even though he does have to pit on the back stretch.
As I watch these cars practice, Bob, and go down in the corners, it seems like they're never going to back off the throttle. They just keep going and going and going. The brakes, how are they going to be able to stop these 3,500-pound cars? But these new tires that's 12 inches wide are going to help because they've got that extra rubber on the ground.
Now you're going to take a look at the 2 drivers who came into this event on provisionals. The 2 that had to get in on provisionals are Brett Bodine and Chuck Bound. Several are unfortunately going to have to go home for today's race. Actually, we'll send them on a hunting trip today. Several of these drivers were in the field solidly until they decided to participate in second-round qualifying yesterday. They went slower, and therefore they've gone hunting. There's the list of those that will not be competing here today, and at the top of the list, of course, is Harry Gant.
And Brett Bodine, you saw, took a provisional to get in the field. He was 23rd fastest on Friday and decided to requalify. He could have used that time, decided to requalify. Asked the crew why. They said, just put STUPID on our heads.
Well, the same situation with Wally Dallenbach, who had a very solid run on first day, but participated in second round and missed the show. Well, here's Martinsville Speedway. It's just a little bit over a half a mile in length.
You can see these long straightaways, fairly flat corners, 800-foot straightaways, 12 degrees in the corner, and the straightaways, 0 degrees banking.
And when you go into those turns, that 12 degrees looks like it's 12 degrees the other way because it looks like it's leaning out outside the track as opposed to in.
We might explain that we're in our hurry up on the air and get the race started mode because we want to make sure we get all of the racing in before we go to the NFL Draft, which you can see live here on ESPN beginning at 3:30 this afternoon. Well, we'll go 500 laps. The pole speed 92.942 miles an hour. The pit window will come between 130 and 145 laps. They're racing for over $700,000 in prize money here this afternoon in the Haynes 500. And in one more lap, we will go racing. Our in-car cameras being carried today, one by our pole sitter, Rusty Wallace. And we have a suspension cam on the Miller Genuine Draft Ford also.
Looks like it's on the right front.
There's Mark Martin's in-car camera. And that's what Vinny refers to as the dog cam, because that's the view that your dog would have when he rides along with you in the passenger side. And Derek Koch will also carry an in-car camera in the finger hut machine. Actually, that's the roof cam. Well, get set now for 500 laps of competition at Martinsville. The crowd on its feet cheering. The green flag waves, and we are underway. Fighting for third position with Jeff Bodine as we watch from Mark Martin's car. Bodine on the inside and Spencer on the outside.
Oh, and a spin. Todd Bodine has spun. That in turn one. Looks like everybody's going to get by.
Right in the middle of the racetrack in turn one. The first caution of the afternoon comes out, although Todd does have the car headed now in the right direction, but caution is out on the racetrack. Here's a replay of what happened. Looks like he was running with Rick Mast.
Down on the inside going into the turn. He gets a fender alongside, has to really brake down hard to keep from running over Mast going into the turn. And just lost control and spins around. You can see a lot of cars back there that get slowed down quickly and moves around.
So first caution coming out after just 3 laps here at Martinsville with Rusty Wallace in the lead over Sterling Marlin and Jeff Bodine. ESPN Speed World is being brought to you by Haynes Cool Comfort Men's Underwear, the briefs that keep you cooler and drier. By Goodyear, #1 in tires. And by AC Delco Automotive Parts. AC Delco, it's like buying time. Well, we didn't have a chance to say hi to you when we came on the air, so hi, everybody.
Hi there.
Welcome to Martinsville. They're racing. Let's get back to the action.
Okay. Continues to lead them. Here's a side-by-side battle. Ernie Irvin getting by Michael Waltrip. Bobby Bobby Labonte was the big benefactor of that little spin we saw earlier down there. He was up on the outside passing some cars. He started 22nd. Now he's on the way up to 13th place. He was on the outside, so he just went right around past Todd Bodine and several of those cars that had to slow down. So Bobby Labonte having a good run.
Now we got a spin coming off turn 4. Caution flag is not out as Joe Nemechek goes around, does a 360, keeps going. No caution flag.
He's going to be in jeopardy of going a lap down, though Rusty Wallace is right behind him as they come off the turn 2.
Nemechek's car appeared to be loose in the previous laps before he spun, and he got out from under him in turn 4.
And Dale Earnhardt was able to get by Jimmy Spencer and take over that 4th spot. He started 8th spot, did Earnhardt, moved up to 4th already. Here comes Mark Martin on the inside of Spencer.
Earnhardt passed Mark Martin on the outside just after the restart. Spencer's car appears to be a little loose. That's the McDonald's Ford number 27 we're seeing out in front of Mark Martin.
Now Martin alongside Spencer into 1, and he's going to get the position this time.
And Kyle Petty's going to come right in behind him.
That's a shot from Mark Doghammer. Here comes Kyle Petty.
Now Ernie Irvin's going to try to get the spot, but Spencer quickly moves over. Look at Michael Waltrip right behind Ernie.
Jerry Punch has more on Jimmy Spencer.
The car Spencer is driving today is the same one that was nearly destroyed at Wilkesboro last week. Mike Hill and company took the car to Mike Laughlin's shop on Sunday night from North Wilkesboro, put a whole new rear clip on the car. The team rebuilt the car on Tuesday. They scrambled all week to get the car here in time for practice on Friday afternoon. So they've had to struggle even to get the car back to the racetrack. Let's check in with John Turner.
And Jerry, I just talked to Mike Hill, the crew chief. He tells me that the car is just too tight coming off the turn. The Jimmy's having a real hard time driving it. They'll hope to get a caution in the next 40 or 50 laps and be able to fix that problem here on pit road.
Let's take a look at the spin that happened just a few laps ago involving Joe Nemechek. There he is, getting on the inside, running up over the curb, spinning 360 degrees, and kept it going. Now Michael Waltrip tries to move past Jimmy Spencer, coming off from turn number 4, and dives.
A little bit of contact as they came off the corner, but Michael safely gets the spot.
That moves him up to 8th. Spencer is 9th, and Bill Elliott in the Budweiser Ford will be the next that tries to pass Jimmy Spencer.
Both of those cars are owned by Junior Johnson, the Spencer car and the Bill Elliott car. And you can see Elliott gets a much better run off the turn. As they pointed out, the car pushing a little bit and just can't get on the accelerator, pushes up, takes away some speed. Here comes Rick Mass down on the inside in the Skoll Classic car.
Now Darrell Waltrip will try.
Yeah, there are a lot of cars just jammed up behind Jimmy Spencer that he perhaps is holding up a little bit with his ill-handling car. There's Bobby Labonte. We talked about him. He's right behind Darrell Waltrip. And Bobby still in the 13th position, but he started 22nd.
Go ahead.
Bobby, a new father this week.
Yep.
His wife Donna gave birth to a baby boy, Robert Tyler.
Robert Tyler. Here's Ernie Irvin now battling with Mark Martin.
Takes the spot away, and Kyle Petty passed Mark Martin just a moment away and is driven away. Martin's car come off the corner a moment ago and looked like he almost lost control.
Martin is back to 7th. 64 miles an hour. And again, a big jam up behind Jimmy Spencer. It's Darrell Waltrip, Bobby Labonte, Bobby Hamilton, among others.
Darrell thought he had him coming off of turn 4, but his car slipped just a little bit. He got a run on him going down the backstretch the last time. Couldn't do it this time. Now Spencer goes up, Darrell comes down. He's got him this time. Now Bobby Labonte in the Pontiac will try to make the same move. It seems like turn 4 is the worst one for Spencer. That's where they've been able to get up under him.
Darrell Waltrip, the winningest of the active drivers with 11 victories here at this Speedway, 5 in this spring race and 6 in the late summer fall race.
Well, now Bobby Labonte's going to try it on the outside. He passed a lot of cars at the start of this race on the outside. Let's see what he can do now. Spencer's giving him the room up there.
I was going to say he got him, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think he's got him there. That's pretty impressive.
Yep.
Bobby Hamilton's trying to figure it out. Okay, am I going to try that same move on the outside? Or should I try it on the inside? We see Jeff Gordon trying to get by the 40 car of Bobby Hamilton.
He moved up on the outside. That didn't quite work for Jeff. There's Jeff Gordon in the car number 24, the multicolored car.
Hamilton gets a great run off turn 4. You're right. Spencer's really having trouble getting off turn 4. Morgan Shepherd right behind Ricky Rudd.
Yeah, Morgan is another car that's running. He started 32nd, but he is already up to 20th position. So Morgan, I knew yesterday in practice his car was good. They said go forward. And as tough as it is to pass on this tight half-a-mile track, he's already picked off 12. Dale Jarrett getting on the inside of Jeff Gordon coming off the turn 4.
And Rusty Wallace continues to lead, now about to lap the first car. That's Joe Nemechek.
Rusty and Nemechek made some contact off the corner, but Rusty safely got by.
Sterling Marlin continues to run in second position, and Jeff Bodine is third, followed by Dale Earnhardt, Kyle Petty, and Ernie Irvin. 29 laps completed in the Haynes 500. We'll be right back. Okay.
Kyle is passing Earnhardt, huh? Kyle going somewhere, ain't he? Man.
Hey, Benny.
Yes.
Martin's car keeps backfiring when he comes down into turn 1. Just did it again. That's a problem. That could be a problem, couldn't it?
Yeah, it's missing there. He's got some pretty heavy damage to the right rear of the car. I don't know what he got into, but...
Oh, Mark does?
Yeah.
He hasn't said anything to the crew.
Right rear quarter's been up pretty good, John.
All right, thank you.
Jeff Bodine is a master at this place, huh?
Back in Martinsville Speedway in Virginia for the Haynes 500 NASCAR Winston Cup race. And yes, at 3:30, right at the conclusion of our event here, the NFL Draft live on ESPN. This is 4th, 5th, and 6th right here. Kyle Petty, who's passed Dale Earnhardt, followed closely by Ernie Irvin.
Well, the fans have been watching that battle. It's been a good one, as Kyle got around Earnhardt a couple of laps ago.
Passed him on the outside. Now Ernie's going to try it on the outside as well. Earnhardt moves over, gives him the room. Says, if you don't go up there and use your brakes up and car up, go right ahead. And there he goes. See Ricky Rudd. Steve Grissom just went by Rudd, and Rudd has some problems. He's moving over, letting these guys go by. That's a very defensive attitude, position, posture. So he evidently has brake problems, some kind of problem.
And he was waving to Jeff Gordon and Morgan Shepherd to go ahead and go around as they came down the backstretch. Here's our Napa field summary, showing you where your favorite driver is running at this time. Here's Jerry McMullen on Rudd.
Take a look at the left side of Ricky Rudd's tied Ford Thunderbird. The header pipes, actually the tail pipes that come off the collector's header, are loose and are down on the edge of the racetrack on the inside, the left side. So he is now being black flagged by NASCAR as those pipes have come apart. That's another one of the cars that got totally rebuilt after North Wilkesboro. took the cars, the whole front section of the car off. Even though he had a top 10 finish, he finished 6th there. The crew worked around the clock, and now he'll have to make a pit stop under green and get the left side exhaust pipe hooked back to the brake.
He, of course, is one of those pitted on the backstretch.
Well, that's a tough break to have to make a green flag pit stop this early in the race.
Yeah, they were back on last Sunday night as well and got the car ready to go down to Mike Laughlin's. They were there Monday morning working on this car, and he didn't even crash it. They just wanted to make a chassis change. Went back home last Sunday night, went to work, went down Monday, got the problem fixed.
Morgan Shepherd passing by the Witt Brothers Citgo Ford.
Well, Ricky lost a lap when he made the pit stop, Ricky Rudd in the time there.
Morgan Shepherd started 32nd, and he is currently in his highest position of 19.
Jeff Burton would best his car. Going by Rudd. See, Jimmy Spencer has moved back to 18th spot from 4th starting position.
Rusty Wallace is about to encounter a whole bunch of traffic. He's got Todd Bodine and Ward Burton and Chuck Bound and Ken Musgrave and many others just ahead of him.
Yes, at the moment, Bob, there are 32 cars being shown in the lead lap, but about 15 of them are directly in front of Rusty Wallace.
And meanwhile, as we watch this, I'll tell you that Jeff Bodine in the Exide battery car was able to get by Sterling Marlin and take over the 2nd spot.
We did see that just a few laps ago. John Kernan.
Bob, Sterling's car is just a little bit loose, but Jeff Bodine was telling me this morning that the Hoosier tires, the longer they run and the hotter the track and slicker it is, the better he's going to be. He's looking for a long green flag segment. He thinks he can potentially chase down Rusty Wallace if they continue running under the green.
Four drivers started the race on Hoosier tires. Jeff Bodine, the two Burtons.
Oh, spin right in front of the leader. Right in front of the leader, Terry Labonte and Brett Bodine. Rusty gets by, and the only two cars that spun.
Caution is out for the 2nd time.
And those cars went a lap down, Brett Bodine and Terry Labonte, as to come back. Todd Bodine was saved. He was the next car being shown as going a lap down, but he gets to stay in the lead lap.
So last week's winner, Terry Labonte, encountering a bit of misfortune here in the first 46 laps of the race, going a lap down after a spin in turn 2 that also involved Brett Bodine. And you see from the in-car camera of Rusty Wallace, the Pontiac pace car pulling onto the track. And
what do you think, Ned? They go pit?
Well, I don't know. They've gone 40-some-odd laps. I believe they will. But let's go to the pits and Jerry Punch. They're coming at you, Jerry.
Indeed they will, Ned. Fresh tires, very critical. Now we're going to see this battle on pit road as everyone on the lead lap comes in. Rusty pitting in the middle of pit road. Ernie Irvin right in front of him. Kyle Petty, Dale Earnhardt. As they all line up in the pit, who will win it out? Guys, it's up to you.
And we see Jeff Bodine changing just left sides. Ned, just left. Is he just going to change 2 tires?
Well, that's interesting. Evidently, that's all he's doing.
That's all he's doing. He's leaving John Kernan.
Left side tires only. They're looking at track position. The right sides, they show very little wear. And these tires, what they have is once they get hot, it takes them like 7-8 laps to get hot and get up to speed. Sterling Martin has a little trouble getting out. Dale Earnhardt beats him out as Mark Martin, Kyle Petty, Ernie Irvin, and a whole group of them go down a loose tire on pit road that Darrell Waltrip almost got into.
And so does Chuck Bound.
There he goes, safely retrieved.
Ernie Irvin also had some problems, not with the stop itself, but getting out, right, Jerry?
Indeed, it was a chain reaction here in the middle of the pits. Ernie Irvin had to back up because Kyle Petty had the back of his car right at the back of Kyle's box. Now, Kyle was actually in his pit box. Ernie had to back up to get out. When Ernie tried to back up to get out, Kyle pulled out. Ernie had to try to avoid Kyle. Bill Elliott jammed on the brakes and kept running into the back of Ernie as Elliott was already coming down pit road. So we nearly had a catastrophe here on pit road in the early laps. I told you it was tight here, but man, is it ever so tight.
Watch this. Here comes Jeff Bodine with the 2 left sides. Rusty Wallace comes out. Now these guys safely make it out. And we see Bobby Hamilton up on the top of the screen starting down through there. And wow, they all just start driving out in front of each other. Martin pulls up. And Michael, I guess, catches the tire. Darrell stops, so I guess it does hit Darrell's car.
Schrader dodges it.
And meanwhile, the Sitco crew of Morgan Shepherd, evidently they only changed 2 tires because he is in 4th spot right now. Started, what, 32nd then?
Yes.
Morgan Shepherd, before the pit stop, was in 19th, and now he will restart in 4th. Wow. We are under caution because of a spin in turn 2 that involved Labonte and Brett Bodine right in front of the leaders.
Brett Bodine in the green car down on the inside makes contact with Terry Labonte, and both of them spin around, and there comes Rusty Wallace by, the leader, going by on the outside.
Well, Jeff Bodine will pick up the lead of this race when we go back to competition at Martinsville Speedway in Virginia.
Very interesting.
ESPN Speed World today at Martinsville Speedway in Virginia for the running of the Haynes 500 NASCAR Winston Cup race that is currently being led by Jeff Bodine, who took on only 2 tires during that most recent pit stop. Right behind him and putting pressure on him is Rusty Wallace, who had led until we have the second caution. Now, Jeff Bodine has 2 top 10s in the last 2 races.
Tell you what, that was a strength of the gamble on 2 tires there. He was running 2nd place. He was going to come out somewhere in the top 5, but yet early on he decided to go ahead and change 2 tires.
Evidently, in the practice they had here yesterday, they must have learned something. Maybe they have a fairly soft left rubber compound on those tires and figured they're the ones going to go away the fastest.
And the 15 car of Lake Speed is being passed.
Yeah, he's got some kind of problem. He's off the pace as Jeff Gordon goes by. Now here comes Todd Bodine by, and we can see him come off the corner, accelerating poorly down the straightaway. It's like a 7-6 a problem with the cylinder.
And a race between Mark Martin and Kyle Petty here for the 6th position. Kyle moving to the inside of Mark as Sterling Marlin is just ahead of Martin.
And the green car, the 26 Quaker State Ford of Brett Bodine gets a tap, almost spins. He and Sterling Marlin make some contact. Mark thought he had everything all set up, and guess what? He's the loser in this deal. It looked like he was going to use the 26 as a pick to get by Kyle Petty. Not only did Kyle get by, but Ricky Rudd got by as well.
Well, there's a lap down, don't forget.
Wallace has said, okay, Jeff, you want to lead this thing, go ahead. I'm not going to use my car up to get by. Is that kind of what you feel about it?
That could be. I'm sure that he's not going to take any extra chances. If he could go up there and pass it easily and not use the car too much, I'm sure he would do it. But he doesn't want this early in the race.
More on the Jeff Bodine situation from Jerry. From John Kerman.
Go ahead. Whoever, okay. Now, you're speculating that the left side tires might be a little bit soft. Yes, that's exactly right. On the Hoosier tires, a little bit softer. They decided to just change the 2 tires. Because as I said, you see, the longer they ran on a set of tires, the better the car felt. So they thought that they could take a gamble this early in the race to see where they would put their driver. Well, it looks like right now,
They've made the right choice. Now let's go back to Dr. Jerry Punch with a report on Lake Speed.
Thanks, John. And Lake Speed will be coming on the pit road in a lap or two. Apparently, they have blown the seal out of the right front brake caliper. So apparently, they have lost the brakes. He's just riding around until the crew here in the Quality Care Ford pits can get ready. The Budmore crew, they will bring him behind the wall and try to fix the brakes. He has no brakes. He's just riding around, getting ready, getting the crew time to get a chance to replace that right front brake caliper.
Still a good battle up front, but boy, what a difference a year makes for Lake Speed. A year ago at this time, he was 36th in the point standings, and now he's 5th, but is having his problems with brakes at the moment.
As he went by, I saw the smoke come out of the right front, so the caliper, the O-ring that's broken is in the right front, and he is in the pits on the back straightaway trying to repair that seal. Here once again, a Napa field summary. See Bill Elliott back in 10th spot.
Greg Sachs running together.
Just a little contact as it came off the corner.
There you can see that Gordon has moved into 21st and Sachs actually 22nd. 29 cars remain on the lead lap.
And no one at the moment in danger of going another lap down the lap. The leaders have a good bit of clear track in front of them.
There is the interval. We'll see here in just a minute. There they are. Jay Hedgecock is about a full straightaway ahead of him. Rusty once again puts pressure on Jeff Bodine, the leader.
Terry Labonte, the Kellogg star, the winner last week at North Wilkesboro, was about to be lapped by Rusty Wallace, but right behind him, 2 cars behind Rusty right now is Terry Labonte. They were seeing at the very end of that pack, so evidently they made some chassis adjustments on their pit stop, and he's running rather well right now.
Yesterday in practice, he was running very good, Benny, but he had to start way back.
And Lake Speed has made it to the pit area where work on the brakes is now going on, Jerry.
And Bob, to make matters worse, you got to imagine how hot these brakes are. Donnie Wingo and the crew, take a look at the steam coming off the right front caliper. They're going to remove the entire caliper and replace it with a brand new one, or try to possibly replace the seal, but you can't even work. Even with the Kevlar gloves, the hands get so hot you can only work about a minute, minute and a half. You have to back off and let the hands cool down. A tough job here for the Budmore crew.
Yeah, we're getting a tough spot right now because Jeff Bodine's used right sides are really coming into play. And here goes Earnhardt trying it on the outside. Didn't quite work. Maybe that'll give Rusty some ideas, but he doesn't want to give that position away to Earnhardt.
Here comes Dale again with an attempt.
Rusty's going to try it on the inside.
Yeah, he saw Earnhardt coming up there and starting to put the pressure on and said maybe it's time to go. We speculated that he might be willing to sit there and run for a while, but when somebody else comes up there, then you got to go.
I think Rusty's content, but Earnhardt's not content. And obviously, Labonte is because he wants to get that lap back.
Bodine has won 4 events here at Martinsville, finished 6th here in this race last year. There's a suspension cam on Rusty's car.
You see the brake rotor turn red as he goes down the corner and applies the brake. And you see that wheel turn as he comes off the corner. Now Stitch gets red again as he applies the brakes.
You can tell when he approaches the corner, can't you?
That's why they use all those air ducts like defroster hoses going to the right front to try to cool those things down.
And the sparks there also.
Rusty or in his efforts or hurt him. Jeff Bodine figuring out how he's going to go around this 78 car, Jay Hitchcock.
Looks like he's going to go to the outside in the first and second turns.
Now Rusty needs to drive under and Hitchcock move over and get 3 abreast. No, it didn't work that way.
Sterling Marlin, meanwhile, has caught up with this group, as has Kyle Petty and Ernie Irvin.
Earnhardt once again trying it on the outside, goes in the corner but slips up and loses a couple of car lengths.
Brakes are heating up. The action is heating up at Martinsville. 75 laps have been completed. It's Bodine, Wallace, Earnhardt, Marlin, and Petty. Ford, Chevy, and Pontiac. The Haynes 500 NASCAR Winston Cup race from Martinsville Speedway in Virginia is now 81 laps old, and Jeff Bodine, the Exide Batteries Ford, leads Rusty Wallace.
And look here.
This is Earnhardt, and he tries to...
No, Labonte is going by him on the outside. Bob are trying to.
Meanwhile, Ernie Irvin and Sterling Marlin are also going to catch up to Earnhardt.
And they're going to try it on the outside. Here comes Ernie.
I understand that Earnhardt's chassis might be just a little bit tight on that car. John Kernan?
Ned, you're exactly right. I just talked to Richard Childress. He has mouthed the word tight. The car is just too tight. So at the next pit stop, they'll have to make an adjustment and try and loosen it up for him. But right now, Sterling Marlin is alongside Dale Earnhardt trying to take that spot away.
And we've got Kyle Petty right behind that duo, and he's struggling to get by. Kyle will try it on the outside.
And Rusty Wallace is just all over Jeff Bodine and can't seem to pass.
Well, Jeff certainly knows this racetrack as well as anyone. He's won in every division here and knows how to use
Oh, and Jimmy Spencer is fun.
In turn 4, he comes across the track right in front of a whole pack of cars, but they
And he's going to pull out right in front of the leaders, I bet you.
No, he stayed down there.
Oh, man, I was afraid he was going.
Earnhardt just missed hitting Spencer.
Wow, I just knew Spencer trying to save get in the lap would pull back up to the racetrack, but he wisely stayed right where he stopped.
Yes, thank goodness. This is our third caution. Jerry, what do we expect now on pit road?
Pretty much routine, but remember, pit position very critical here. Track position extremely critical. As here comes the car number 7, Bodine. He's pitting down toward turn 1. The midpoint will have Ernie Irvin and Rusty Wallace. Let's check in with John Kernan.
Well, Jerry, this time for Jeff Bodine, as the crew goes to work, it will be right side tires only. They feel very comfortable with their tire wear and not doing a 4-tire change like we're seeing just about everybody else on pit road. Back upstairs.
And we see Rusty Wallace already changing left side, but he's been in the pits. Ernie Irvin is pulling in. See Rusty's backing up, trying to get out. He does get out, and Ernie almost backed into him.
Tight in the pits here.
Sure is. Again, that 13.6-second stop by Jeff Bodine reflects a 2-tire change, not a 4, and another loose tire on pit road.
As we see Spencer coming down pit road, and the tire and an individual out there.
One of Rusty Wallace's crew members goes out to retrieve, and Jimmy Spencer comes in. And John is with Paul Andrews.
Well, Paul, left side's the first caution stop, right side's this time. What kind of strategy are you all playing out here?
Well, you know, track position is so important here at this Martinsville Speedway. I mean, that's what we want to do. We want to see if it's going to work during the race, and this is the time to do it. You know, Jeff's done a heck of a job out there. The Exide Ford is going to stay out front all day, we hope, you know, and that's what we're working on. You know, this is the time of the day to do this type of strategy.
Well, obviously, you guys watched the stopwatches after you changed left sides. How much did you fall off from the beginning of the race?
Well, it's not quite as fast as the first of the race was, but, you know, Rusty couldn't pass us, so that's probably fast enough. We'll see what these right sides do now.
All right, we'll see how this strategy plays out.
And Jeff is going to be the leader of the race when we resume action. Ken Schrader shown in second position. Wallace, Bobby Labonte, and Morgan Shepherd complete the top 5. Less than a lap. Bodine continues to lead. Now Jimmy Spencer, for a moment, gets between first and second. Ken Schrader is in second position. Bobby Labonte on the outside. He's running fourth.
Trying to get by his brother Terry. As we're inside Rusty Wallace's car, there we see if Bobby does get by Terry. And Earnhardt's going to try the same thing.
Well, our pit stop summary shows you that Bodine stayed the same. Rusty Wallace in second, out third. Urban third to eighth. Marlin fourth to 17th. And Schrader went from 18th before the pit stop to second position.
Apparently he only changed 2 tires as well.
And, of course, Bobby Labonte also made an advantage on the pit stop in contact between Wallace and Schrader.
Big contact between those 2 cars.
But Rusty grabs second position now.
Here comes Bobby Labonte, the Maxwell House car, trying to get alongside Schrader. Can't quite make it as Earnhardt right behind him. Chris Hussey told me this morning that they would try some 2-tire stops. He didn't lie, did he?
Nope, he's the crew chief on the Maxwell House Pontiac that Bobby Labonte drives. Track position, as everyone has said, is so important here. You can see how tough it is to pass.
Boy, Jeff has opened up quite an advantage here in just a few laps with 2 tires.
Yeah, it looked like the right side tires helped him more than the left sides did.
He has 2 lap cars between himself and Rusty Wallace, who's running second. Jerry, what's going on with Rusty?
Well, a moment ago when he was going around Kenny Schrader and went down into turn 1, backed off the throttle, we saw a puff of smoke from beneath the car number 2. Now as he heads back towards turn 1, when he backs off, occasionally you see a little wisp of smoke come from beneath the car. The crew are watching very carefully. In fact, Buddy Terrence has come down off the pit box and is standing out on the edge of pit road here watching the car number 2 as it comes by.
Just a real good battle for third, fourth, and fifth here. Schrader, Earnhardt, and Bobby Labonte in the Maxwell House Pontiac.
I wondered if Rusty might have knocked the toe end out of alignment for just a little bit when he and Schrader made contact, but it doesn't look like he slowed down that much. And, you know, the 21 car, he and the 22 of Bobby Labonte made contact coming out of the pits. So Morgan had to go back in the pits and get the fender pulled off the tire. And that's what he's doing at the back.
And it's dropped him to a 25th place. Now here is the battle for third with Earnhardt inside and Schrader outside. Earnhardt will come away with the third spot. And now Bobby Labonte will try to move alongside Kenny.
Well, those 2 tires certainly gave Ken Schrader good track position, but I think they're hurting his speed a little bit right now.
Bobby Labonte must have a pretty good race car here because he only changed 2 as well. And he's running pretty doggone good.
Yes, he is.
Isn't he, John Kernan?
You're exactly right, Vinny. That's the car that they wrecked at Darlington. It's one of the first Pontiacs that they built. It's not an old Rusty Wallace car. They had to take it back to the shop after backing into the wall at Darlington, put on a new rear clip. And Bobby was telling me this morning he felt pretty good. He said, this field is so tight, if I can just get a break and get moved up and get some good track position, I should be okay.
Well, he's got it now. He's got good track position.
Yep, fine shape right now.
Sitting there in 4th position.
Pulling away from Schrader and Urban and Kyle Petty.
Now, Ernie Urban, Kyle Petty both come up on Schrader.
That's the trouble when you change 2 tires. Somebody's all the time trying to pass you.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is where Mark is frustrated. Mark is running back in 9th position. Sterling Marlin.
Here is Jeff Burton trying to make a move on Greg Sachs down on the inside.
That's the 11th position that's being fought for. Burton comes away with it. Now Dale Jarrett tries to go inside for Sachs.
That will be 12th. So that's 12, 13. So Darrell must be 14th. Michael 15th. And Steve Grissom 16th. Boy, these tires are really sticking so well in the corner. These guys are able to run on the outside better than I've ever seen them run before now.
Yes, they are. That's good to see them running out there, and who knows, the groove might move up a little later on as more of them run up there. It makes for a better groove that you can get more traction on.
Steve Grissom, number 29, is in the battle for position there on the lead lap.
Sure he thought he had Michael Waltrip, but Greg Sachs moved over, and Placed himself in front of Grissom. Now Michael will go by Sachs on the outside, or try to.
Yeah, there's 3 cars past Greg on the outside, and he saw that other line of cars coming. He said, I believe I better get down on the inside and let him go on the outside, as Ernie Irvin makes that pass on the trailer.
He moves to 5th. Ernie Irvin goes to 5th. Now Kyle Petty tries to take 6th from Schrader.
Wow, look at Sterling drive in there. Kenny Schrader calls him Uncle Sterling.
We'll show you another battle that's going on.
Up in the right-hand corner, that's Michael Waltrip and Greg Sachs still running side by side as Steve Grissom, Bill Elliott watch.
Yep.
Now Rick Mast is trying to get by on Kenny Schrader on the big picture. We got a little picture and a big picture.
14th, 15th, and 16th in the upper right. And Schrader losing positions now back to 10th in the left.
I tell you what, that little race up there, the little picture, that's just a wreck looking for a place down. So they got about 6 of them jammed in behind. See, watch him back there.
And Michael just can't quite get enough traction. Gets a pretty good run off the turn 4, but that just pulls him up even with Greg Sachs. And knows if he drives in there too hard, the car will sweep up and he'll lose what he has there. There's Steve Grissom. He's coming up there trying to mix that up. He wants Greg Sachs to move back out in front of Michael while he has that opening down on the inside, but that's not going to happen. It doesn't look like.
Ted Musgrave has passed Bill Elliott. He's 4th in line there. And because those guys are all battling for the position side by side, Darrell Waltrip has been able to separate himself and is 13th.
Yeah, he's pulled about 2/3 of a straightaway in front of him. You can see how much distance there is there now.
We talk about in Daytona, Talladega, and the draft, just how much it hurt you running side by side. Well, same thing here in Martinsville.
Now that time Michael was about 3 feet further up than he was the other time around. Let's see what he can do coming off this turn. He might get him this time. He got a good run coming off of there. Yeah, he cleared him that time.
All right, Spotter, tell him to come down. Tell him to come down. All right, Spotter did his job. All right, Lake Speed Spotter stopped up in the corner. He's going again. No caution flag.
I think he did a spin in turn 2, but no caution.
Michael Walker Freeman worked for that position, and here's Mark Martin working for one, too.
This is the battle for 7. Martin gets him coming off the corner. And the dog cam shows you just how close they get to the wall coming off the corner.
We wouldn't want to put that camera at Chuck Bound's car, because I've never seen anybody get it close to the wall and he does.
Jeff Bodine continues to lead. We know how many of you like to follow the manufacturer's battle, and so occasionally we're going to be showing you the driver and the type of car that they are running. But right now, 2 Fords are showing the way, with Jeff Bodine leading Rusty Wallace. 3rd is Dale Earnhardt in a Chevy. Then the Pontiac of Bobby Labonte and Ernie Irvin 5th in another Ford. 6 through 10 after 114 laps. It is Kyle Petty, Mark Martin, Rick Mast, Sterling Marlin, and Ken Schrader. That's the top 10 after 114 laps here at Martinsville Speedway in Virginia on a beautiful Sunday in the Haynes 500.
Oh, a little bit of contact there. Was you on it, Mike? I don't trust you. I'm watching the racetrack, Mike. I don't trust you.
The Haynes 500 from Martinsville, Virginia, has a new leader. While we were at break, actually, just as we were going to break, Rusty Wallace was able to get around Jeff Bodine, and we will show you how that occurred.
All right, this is going down the back straightaway into turn 3. Go down in the corner, and Rusty comes up, and see, just a little touch. Jeff Bodine out of control a little bit. Rusty Wallace is able to maintain control and goes by.
Well, it doesn't take much. You're almost out of control anyway going around these tight turns, and just a little bit of a tap and loosen him up. Now Rusty's pulled away a little bit.
And we can see there's no one around the Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac. There's the second place car of Jeff Bodine on the inside of Lake Speed. Jimmy Spencer. Now Earnhardt is third place car, the Goodrich Chevrolet.
lake speed is 29 laps behind from that brake problem he had.
Now just a few laps ago. Oh, look at the contact between Martin and Irvin.
Well, Kyle Petty had gotten by Ernie Irvin, and Mark thought he would try to follow Kyle Petty. Ernie came down to block the spot, and you saw the results.
That little white stripe down on the inside of the corners appears to be a very harmless stripe, but that's a curve, and it can do damage.
It can do damage, is right.
Another Napa field summary. Bobby Labonte is hanging in there in 4th position. But as you can see, Kyle Petty is knocking on his door.
Yeah, the fact that he only changed 2 tires is starting to take effect. You see Kyle, Bobby Labonte saw that he was much faster, so he basically said, go ahead, guys. I can't use my race car, but I need a good finish, and he does. That crew would be, if they could leave here today with the top 5, they'd feel like they won.
Everybody's still running at this point in the race. We're 127 laps in.
That's amazing. Every car is still running. Back when I was racing, half the field had blown up by now. Including you, including me, yeah.
Well, I think that's a testimony to the technology that has come along and the mechanics who put them together. Making the race cars much more durable now. Let's go to the pits and Jerry Punch.
Ernie Irvin has radioed his crew and said this set of tires is not hooked up and not what I wanted. Obviously, there's no way of knowing. The car now beginning to wheel hop in the rear and bounce around a little bit, so we slowed up on the racetrack a little bit back in 5th position. And just asked Larry McReynolds why the wheel hop. He said, well, Jerry, the air pressure has built up so much in the tires, the car is beginning to hop and skip in the corners.
Wow. Here's a battle between Greg Sachs down on the inside.
Oh, and the 77 car drops off the pace, Ned, just as...
Guess if we put the camera on him, I guess. Yeah, what made him put the jinx on him was the camera, I guess.
He's fallen from 21st back several positions as John Andretti and others were able to get by him.
In fact, the leader there, you can see Rusty Wallace is right behind him.
Yep. So that's going to put him back to about 27.
And Rusty had just got by the Derek Cope fingerhood car as we look at Rusty from on top of Derek Cope's car.
Now, there are 26 cars in the lead lap.
Yep. Sachs is about to go a lap down, and Rusty, boy, it went through the corner almost close, didn't it? Rusty will put a lap on Greg Sachs as they head for turn 1.
So now there are 25 cars on the lead lap. The next car is the Hardy's car of Ward Burton. He's not far in front of Rusty Wallace.
Rusty has led a lap in 14 of the last 16 short track races. Of course, he's the defending champion. World Daniels 500. Rusty coming up on Ward Burton and John Andretti.
Let's check see if the brake rotor's still getting hot as Rusty goes down in turn 1. Applies the brakes. I don't think he's using as much brake as he did earlier.
Well, he's sitting out there with no pressure behind him, for one thing.
He does have cars ahead of him that he has to slow down for, but there's not nearly as much heat coming from those brakes as there was. Now Rusty looks to the inside of Ward Burton. Jerry Punch maybe can tell us what's going on. Jerry?
Guys, remember after the restart, I told you we were seeing a little bit of smoke from Rusty Wallace. What that was a fender rubbing. When Rusty was trying to run real hard to get by Jeff Bodine, he had a little bit of a fender rub. Now that he's out front, he can back off and not run quite so hard. Just take his time and work traffic, wait for a caution flag, get a pit stop, and pull that fender away.
Okay, I'll just guess that Rusty Wallace was going in the corner so hard using the brakes. The car was dipped at the front. That's when the fender would go down and touch the tire. Now that he doesn't have the pressure, he's not having to run it hard. And we got a spin as Derek Coates comes right in front of Earnhardt. So far, that's making contact. All these cars go flying by.
Caution is out. John Andretti trying to get a lap back around Rusty Wallace, and he spins him. He got down on the inside of Wallace trying to get back and trying to get back in the lead lap. He ran on the inside and hit Rusty Wallace a little bit and lost control. Ron and Brad had just been left.
That's Grand Piano and Furniture, the sponsor on that car.
And here is Derek Cope's spin. And maybe a little contact from Jimmy Spencer.
Yep, just a little bit. He makes a 360.
And then the 14 car just up the track a little bit, tried to get his lap back going into the second corner, or the third corner, I should say.
And he went in there hard, Bob, and just simply too hard. The car wouldn't stick, so he spins it around, so he remains a lap down. Let's go to the pits and Jerry Punch.
Well, the last minute, 62 laps to go. They're back in. It's just a routine. We're going to watch if anyone gets blocked in the pit. Rusty stops way in the back of his box while Ernie Irvin stops in the middle of his pit box. Left side tires on the car number 2. Likewise, left side now going on Ernie Irvin. Bodine has 4 tires. Here's Rusty Wallace down. And headed back to Ernie Irvin makes a turn. And whoa, Irvin and Kyle Petty almost come together exiting the pits.
There's nothing more in the world exciting than pit work. I'm telling you, 7, 8 guys in there scrambling, trying to beat the rest of them. Then the driver's got to pull out in front of somebody. You know, it's like leaving a ball game or a race. You know how you pull out in front of somebody all the time doing that?
Jerry Punch, how did you see that around the stops?
You know, Bob, you comment on what athletes these drivers are. What about the crew members? I mean, they have to concentrate. Can you imagine knowing a car is coming by you, leaving the pits, maybe a foot and a half from your back while you're trying to concentrate on what you're doing? These guys still concentrate. Joe Kerr knows incredible pit stops, realizing that they are in danger here on a very narrow pit road. Bob?
And this is the reason why we are under the caution. We're going to take you inside Derek Cope's car. Spin's going to occur up in turn 4. Here he's entering 3.
Just as he got on the gas, he got tapped just a little bit from the rear, and around he went.
Yep. So we'll take another break here. After 141 of 500 laps, it's Wallace, Jeff Bodine, Earnhardt, Petty, and Marlin. Aerial shots for today's coverage of the Haynes 500 being provided by the Network MCI blimp. And the captain up there is Tony Stevenson. Guys, thank you for the pictures. Well, the former Rookies of the Year in NASCAR Winston Cup competition, 1977. Some pretty important names on that. And the reason we're thinking about rookies in Winston Cup racing is because there are a lot of rookies in the National Football League next year that are sitting on pins and needles because the draft is coming up at 3:30 this afternoon. Chris Berman, Joe Theismann, Tom Jackson take you through live coverage of every single selection in the 94 NFL Draft. Live reports from Dallas, New England, Indianapolis, San Francisco, and many other cities. That's the NFL Draft at 3:30 this afternoon on lap 146. We go green from our 4th caution. Here's Dr. Jerry Punch on a report of the pit area.
And when you're Bill Elliott and you're having a bad year, things just can't get much worse, or can they? The first pit stop, the car falls off the jack. This past pit stop, the caution a brake because, take a look at his right front wheel, was coming off. The lug nuts were being wound away. It had not been tight during the pit stop. And right here, the wheel was beginning to vibrate back and forth. He was going to have to pit the next lap, and the caution came out. Maybe his luck is changing.
Rusty Wallace has the lead. Jeff Bodine second. Dale Earnhardt to the inside of Jeff Gordon, who has lost a lap.
See, Kyle Petty has gotten by Jimmy Spencer as Greg Sachs starts to buy on the outside of Jimmy Spencer. And looks like he's made the pass. He has. Sachs, the U.S. Air Ford.
Whoa, Sterling Marlin.
And he gets Labonte.
Brett Bodine involved.
Ready. Pulls away.
Sterling Marlin was running in 5th position.
And he's not in a very good spot for all these guys to be racing back, but they don't really Oh, he's not going to pull up in front of him, is he?
Oh, yeah, he did pull up in front of car number 24.
What was the...
Well, now he's going to pull down in front of the people. He's trying to get to the fifth, but couldn't do it.
Well, Jeff Gordon sure got the worst end of that deal.
Yeah, he really did.
That car is all tore up on the left front.
And the right front, I believe, is torn up pretty bad too, because it's pressed up against the wall.
And the car just won't roll, so it must be some pretty heavy damage. He had the car, the engine fired, and we see he tries to pull away. The window net goes down, and I guess
he's going to abandon it, huh?
Yep, looks that way.
Boy, tough break for Jeff. He had just lost a lap. It was being shown in 23rd position, but this could be in the end of the day. Let's take a look at it again.
You see Sterling come off the corner. I don't know if there was contact or not, but he backs up and makes pretty good contact with Terry Labonte, and the other cars, it doesn't appear as though they made any kind of heavy contact. And then, this is the thing I always fear, that these drivers are trying to keep getting lap will pull out in front of someone. And here comes Rusty by. He's moving now. We see he just barely, he misses Rusty, but now he decides to go again and just catches Gordon and moves.
Throws it right into the wall.
Kyle Petty, he was down in, almost entering the pits down on the inside.
You can see that Jeff Gordon was well ahead of Sterling Marlin when the original spin occurred. So he went almost a complete lap before there was contact.
But look at all those cars going by. Sterling, obviously, he sees he can't move. He tried to turn and get back going in front of Rusty Wallace, decided not to do that, but chose to... and the pit road is closed because of the...
Yeah, there's some debris down there. There was that was sort of blocking pit road, and Jeff Gordon is out of the car.
And a disappointed, disgusted young man. Well, he should be.
Yes, he should be. No, great. Here's a replay from the blimp.
Oh, he does get a little tap from Ernie Irvin there.
Yep, Ernie. Car number 28 taps Marlin, just enough to spin him around.
Now we see the contact with the 5 car, and Brett Bodine just barely made contact.
Well, I said John Andretti. I don't think John hit him.
He may have hit Brett, Ned, who was up ahead of him, but I don't think he'd had any contact with Marlin.
Now he finally gets the engine fired again. And he will start to pull away just as Rusty goes by. Our leader will come by. There he comes. He just misses Rusty, just misses Jeff, and boom, Jeff Bodine, and he gets Jeff Gordon.
And Jerry's with Jeff Gordon.
Jeff, you climbed out of the car. We saw what happened. Can you believe the kind of luck you've had? I mean, the car took a heck of a lick.
I mean, this is as bad as it gets. I usually consider myself a pretty lucky guy, but I didn't know what's going on here. I mean, that was very uncalled for. He lost a lap that, there's no reason for him to go, and everybody told me to stay high, stay high. So I went to the outside, and I was trying to get to Rusty to get my lap back. And, I mean, he just pulled right out in front of me, and I drove right into him. I was as shocked to see his car move as probably anybody in these grandstands.
Well, Jeff will know you're going to try to get back in. The car looks like it's damaged, though, pretty severely.
No, I hit his right front with my left front, and, it bent it up pretty bad. But we should be able to get back out.
Okay, we'll let Jeff Gordon go back to the team working on the car, and let's check in with John Kernan.
Sterling Marlin is sitting on pit road. The radiator is broken. They also have to put on a new fan blade. He's also talked to the NASCAR official, apparently asking him why he moved up when he did. Sterling explained the situation, and we could not hear what was said. Sterling says the engine is off. They're going to have to change the radiator. The nose was completely stripped away from the car, and a lot of sheet metal damage on the right side. Let's go back to Jerry Punch.
Well, here is what's left of the DuPont Chevrolet. Ray Evernham, the crew chief, had told me just prior to the race today, this was a brand new race car. Had not been raced. They were waiting to try to pick just the right track and the right race to bring it out and make its debut. It's a special car. Terry Labonte had a brand new car last week at the Wilkesboro, went on to win the race in Hendrick Motorsports. Another brand new car today for Jeff Gordon. The result's not the same, but the car heavily damaged both left and right. They are going to try to fix the car, as you heard Jeff Gordon say, and get him back on the racetrack. Bob?
All right, and again, we'll show you what happened. Marlin pulling away from his spin and pulls right into the path, hits Jeff Gordon. However, Mark Martin was one of those who was able to drive through the wreckage down there in turn number 4 without major damage to his car. We'll be right back. brought to you by Quaker State, the intelligent oil for longer engine life.
Drivers and crew chiefs are always talking about changing springs to try to make the car handle a little bit better. Now, the springs aren't worn out. They don't collapse or something. What happens if they change the rate of the spring or the stiffness of the spring? We're going to put a spring on the radar and show you exactly what they're talking about. We take a front spring. We slide in here. Okay. Now then, this is a hydraulic pump with a gauge on it. We go up, we pump the thing up. We pump this to 1,000 pounds. And then we measure this. That's on 7 inches. Tighten that down. And we will jack this up to 6 inches. All right, now we read the gauge again. It says 25, 50, 26, 2,700 pounds. We subtract the 1,000 we started with. This is a 1,700-pound spring. If they wanted to make the car a little bit tighter, they would put a stronger spring. A little bit looser, put a weaker spring. This is what they're talking about when they talk about changing the chassis with springs.
Amazing, isn't it? He actually sounded like he knew what he was talking about.
Hey! And I mean, if they change the right front, that's what they would do. If they change the left front, you do just the opposite.
We have a lap to go. In the meantime, let's get down to John Kernan, who's with Sterling Marlin.
Well, they're replacing the radiator, Sterling. What exactly happened out there?
I don't know. We pitted and it was kind of tight, and somebody here behind me run the back of us, spun us out. Got stopped, car with the crank, went to take off. Got forward, my foot slipped off the brake, catch the brake, and rode forward just enough to catch. So Jeff Gordon, I hated for him. Cars was running pretty decent. We just tight trying to get the car freed up. So I spun us out. All we did.
All right, well, they've got a lot of work to do, but they will obviously try to get back out onto the racetrack because attrition sometimes plays a key role here at Martinsville. You need to run as many laps as you can.
All right, the work goes on as the field comes around to retake the green flag. The crowd waves and cheers, and here we go again.
And what a crowd we have today. Folks, it is amazing how many people we have here today.
They added 3,000 seats here at Martinsville over at turn number 2, and every one of those seats were sold for this race. They have packed them in here today.
There are 21 cars still on the lead lap. Bobby Hamilton is the 21st place car. He and Dale Jarrett back there together. They had been running up about 11th and 12th, but they made late pit stops on these cautions, and as a result, they're back making adjustments on their cars.
Best battle is for second here as Earnhardt tries to take it away from Jeff Bodine.
Right now, it looks like Earnhardt's car has been adjusted. He's running well, and he's trying to get to Rusty Wallace and lead this thing. He has tried to pass Jeff Bodine on the outside a couple of times, not been able to make it.
Rusty has led 89 of the first 160 laps.
Ernie Irvin, Kyle Petty, Rick Mast, another good run for him in a Skull Classic.
On Jeff Bodine.
Well, keep your eyes on Jeff Bodine over the next 7 to 8 laps. What Paul Anderson told me, and Jeff this morning, it takes him between 8 to 10 laps for the tires to achieve the proper temperature before the car hooks up. So they're not concerned right now with Dale Earnhardt. They're wanting the tires to heat up so Jeff can make a move toward Rusty Wallace.
He better be concerned about it because if Earnhardt gets in front of him, that's another car he's got to pass. I tell you what, Earnhardt's getting him all he wants right now.
Yeah, I think Earnhardt maybe is a little bit faster.
Well, we have these two cars running together, or they were at least, cars that had 3 encounters last week at North Wilkesboro. Ken Schrader and Jimmy Spencer.
Spencer's not hooked up with that. He wasn't on Wilkesboro last week.
No, he's 1 lap down.
There's a auto light field summary. The 8 car of Jeff Burton is currently in 11th position. He is the highest among the rookies at this point.
Speaking of Jeff Burton, there he is.
Yes.
11th spot.
Started 21st. He's having a good run today. He was the second round fastest qualifier yesterday. He was one of a few that ran faster on Saturday than he ran on Friday.
And in each race, the top rookie gets a prize from the Max Race Card people. It's called the Max Race Card Rookie Challenge, or what goes to the top finishing rookie.
That second round qualifying session yesterday was really a strange one because the weather was so much different yesterday than it was on Friday, and everybody thought that it was warmer and therefore going to be faster. But boy, it turned out that, as Ned said, only about 3 drivers went faster, and several who were solidly in the field went home because they participated in second-day qualifying. Darrell Waltrip in 17 is running 12th.
You know, Greg Sachs was right in front of Jeff Bodine a moment ago. Look here.
Yep.
He has caught Rusty Wallace. And he's trying to get a lap back.
He's in 22nd position.
Looks like he has had as much success running with Rusty Wallace as anybody has all day.
Really? Car running very strong for Greg right now. We saw him struggling a little bit earlier, but I'm sure they made some adjustments on the car.
He obviously is using his car up more than he'd want to right now, but he desperately needs to get that lap back.
Wallace continuing to lead at an average speed of 73.514. A snapshot here. We'll see where your favorite driver is running in relation to the leader of the race.
And if your favorite driver is Dale Earnhardt, he just lost a spot. Because Kyle Petty took over that 3rd spot.
Now you can see here's the end of the field. Good bit of daylight before we see Rusty Wallace come into the picture. And we saw the yellow car, the Kodak car of Sterling Marlin, come back into the picture there. He's coming out in front of the leaders.
And there is Kyle Petty, who has now moved to 3rd position, putting Dale Earnhardt back to 4th. Back with more live action from Martinsville in a moment.
Oh, really? See, I told you, Neil.
Shame on you.
I told you to check all that stuff. Well, I can't say much because I usually put him in a Ford myself.
Yeah, he's absolutely right.
Yeah. I usually put him in a Ford. Geoff is struggling a little bit.
Yes.
Leader still leading. Yep, I love it when you say that, Neil.
I don't like anything negative on these messages yet, Lenny. That's a little too negative for me at the moment. Thank you. Oh, it was just well, he erased it right away. It was gone instantly.
Can you talk to him?
I guess.
Evidently.
He hears me, apparently. But you're doing a great job, Lenny. Give me a Kyle. I have a feeling we're going to be coming back on him. I told you. Okay.
Shoulders on the outside, I think. No, I guess you're right. You're right. Got no brakes in the 25 car. No brakes in the 25. And we see the Kyle Petty
just took second
place. There's smoke coming out of the right front of the 25 car. Here comes the 28 car on the inside.
It's going to be a good battle here among these 4.
showing something.
Welcome back to Martinsville Speedway in Virginia. Jeff Bodine is losing positions
Rapidly.
Yes.
As we watch this, Kenny Schrader has brought his car into the pits. He has no brakes. They finally got it to stop. It looks like he blew another O-ring in the right front of that car.
And Jerry has a story.
Well, they really don't know why he has no brakes. In fact, we're going to bring him in and find out. Kenny just radioed to Ken Howells, the crew chief, and said that apparently the pedal went us all the way down to the floor when Kenny came into turn 3 about 4 or 5 laps to go. They have no brakes. They're going to cut it off, and Kenny's going to stay in the car. They're going to push it back here. As they push the car behind the wall, it looks like a Hendrick Motorsports parking lot because Jeff Gordon, their teammate, is also back here getting his car repaired, and now the Kodiak Chevrolet joins them.
On the racetrack, we're watching 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Now, Kyle Petty has gone to 2nd. He's in 2nd, trailing Rusty Wallace. But 3rd, 4th, and 5th here running right together. That, of course, is Irvin, Earnhardt, and Mark Martin. Jeff Bodine has slid back to 6th position. And John, maybe he can tell us why Jeff Bodine has fallen all the way back to 6th.
Well, as Jeff goes into the turn, the rear wheels hop quite a bit. The car gets very loose. They're not sure. They've been watching the car, looking at it. It goes into the turns. The sponsors watching. They think they may have broken a shock, a bad shock or something, but they desperately need to get a caution so they can come on pit road and check the problem out. Potentially a bad shock on Bodine.
And now he's fallen back to 7th as Rick Mast was able to get around. There's Ken Schrader's smoking brake.
It's a body that just jumped in front of our camera. See him squirting something on there, trying to cool it down so they can work on it.
Ken Schrader has been very consistent this year. He's had some good runs. He was up there in 4th position in the points coming into this race.
138 points behind the leader, Earnhardt.
You know, Rusty Wallace just went out of the picture. He's a pole sitter. If he wins the race today, he can pick up $98,800 bonus. Let's see, is Petty gaining on him? Yes, he is. He has gained 4/10 of a second in 5 laps. Look how consistent Petty is. Just look how consistent he is.
Just buried a 1/10 of a second. Cut the interval, though, from 3.6 to 3.2 in that 5-lap interval, 182 to 186. And Bodine continues to lose positions. Labonte about to take a spot away from him.
Right behind him is Jeff Burton.
Jeff Burton is now running 10th spot, that 8 car, the Robestas car. Ralph woke up there at the first corner. Nice picture.
Lonnie is going to take the 8th place away from Jeff Bodine. Here comes Jeff Burton.
Had a great run going today on that inside battery. Forward?
Yeah, he sure did. He's been one of our 2 leaders of the race so far today. Here's Michael Waltrip, Todd Bodine, Bill Elliott, and Steve Grissom. And that would be 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th.
I'll tell you what, my hat's off to 75 Todd Bodine. You know, he spun early, almost went a lap down, but ran about as fast as Rusty Wallace for 15, 20 laps, was able to stay in the same lap, and you're still in the lead lap. Factory Stores of America, Ford Thunderbird. Good spot.
Here's Steve Grissom moving around Bill Elliott. Now, Ernie Irvin has caught Kyle Petty. He was pretty far behind him, fellas, about 3 or 4 seconds.
And an even greater lessening of the interval from 4 seconds to 3.2, and Urban just blows by Petty and takes second.
That's one thing about Kyle Petty. If he sees somebody coming here on him that's running faster, he'll move over and give him room to run. He wasn't going to battle him. It hurt both of them really at this point of the race. He said there's no point in doing it. He's going to get by me. Why take a chance?
Dale Earnhardt now is not too far behind Kyle. And there is the interval up to the leader, Rusty Wallace.
I'll tell you what, I would like to keep it in for folks to keep doing that interval because it looks to me like that Ernie just might be gaining.
Well, he has moved to second in the Ford. Kyle Petty is running in third position in the Pontiac. Then it's Earnhardt Chevy and Mark Martin's Ford. We'll be right back.
Just for you Yankees, Bob.
Yes, boy. We love to live down here in this kind of weather.
Well, the Indianapolis is close.
And that's above the Mason-Dixon line, so more Yankees. 23 and 32.
Starts 8 degrees a lap down then.
Yeah.
John Andretti's. He's lap down, he is.
Yes,
Yeah, he's trying to get a lap back on the
right.
Rusty almost making contact. I'll tell you what, he's been pretty impressive there, that Andretti kid.
They qualified fairly well, except for the race he missed at Bristol. Even yesterday, when he looked like he was not going to make it. What in the world we got there?
Boy, yeah, he's going to be overheating before long. It's bigger than a hot dog wrapper.
It sure is. Yeah. Big hot dog, what's that thing?
Looks like screen wire at somebody's door.
Oh, no, they put that on there to hold it. Yeah, I see. Okay. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
It is a screen door. Is this somebody's screen door?
So they're getting air through there, too.
Okay. Back at Martinsville Speedway in Virginia, the Haynes 500 NASCAR Winston Cup race, and it is Rusty Wallace still leading here this afternoon, and he's driving a Ford. Ernie Irvin is in a Ford, Petty in the Pontiac, Earnhardt in the Chevy, and Martin in the Ford.
You know, and I would like to say hello to a guy that's back home, but I guess this might be the first race he's missed in about 15 years. Jack Flowers, a racing rider that follows the circuit, rides for a Speedway scene, a trade publication. Jack, believe me, you have been missed. There's a lot more room around here when you went here.
We understand that the power steering unit has gone out on Dale Jarrett's car. Is that right, Jerry?
That's what Dale has radioed the Jimmy May car, and I tell you, this place is tough enough with good power steering. It's next to impossible with no power steering. Just think, 294 laps remain. He's got to turn left a bunch of times. He's a big boy. I'm not sure he's that big, because, man, that's going to wear him out.
Oh, it will on a track like this, Jerry. As many times as you have to turn it, it will be tough on him. He's currently running. Dale is running in the 19th position right now. They had come in and worked on the car late as Bill Elliott gets together with Jeff Bodine, and Jeff Bodine continues to go backwards. In fact, he's not far from being a lap down. We saw him earlier in second place, and there's a bunch of cars that are trying to scramble and stay out in front of Rusty Wallace, who's coming up behind them.
Yeah, you saw that Jeff had fallen back to 16th, and there are now 19 cars on the lead lap. The 18 car is the last car on the lead lap. Rusty is within just a couple of cars of Dale Jarrett. He has Lake Speed and Brett Bodine between them. And here is Dale Earnhardt now reasserting himself and about to take third from Kyle, and does.
Kyle's car seems to have gone away a little bit when he used the tires up when he was making that charge towards the front a moment ago.
Here comes Mark Martin. As we're watching this battle, Dick Triple is taking the active trucking Chevrolet in the back pits.
Rusty Wallace now coming up on a lot of traffic. He has Brett Bodine, Dale Jarrett, Bobby Hamilton in front of him.
And this is serious traffic. This is traffic that doesn't want to go a lap down.
They're going to race Rusty hard, trying to stay in that lead lap, as Elliott finally does get by Jeff Bodine. Now we got Musgrave, and there comes Rusty Wallace. All these guys, really, they got to get by Jeff Bodine as quick as they can and try to hold off Rusty Wallace. You see he's already got by Brett Bodine, the Quaker State Ford.
He was already a lap down. He's in 22.
There's Bobby Hamilton, the Kendall Oil Pontiac. Another one of Felix Abada's cars. I hope that you saw that's Dick Triple's car. Probably a brake problem or something as Musgrave gets alongside. Can't get off the corner.
Dale Jarrett moves to the inside. Let's Rusty move by on the outside.
I understand it was a rear end on Dick Triple's car that caused problems, and Dale Jarrett now is a lap down.
Bobby Hamilton. Rusty pulls down to the inside. Bobby Hamilton moves over. You know, Bobby Hamilton and Jeff Hammond took this car, the 40 car, to Nashville Raceway and tested because they knew Bobby Hamilton knew how to get around that racetrack. And they said he and Jeff Hammond learned more about communication there in 2 days than they probably have all year long. That's a good idea. That's a great idea.
Now there are just 17 cars on the lead lap.
And Jerry can update us on Bill Elliott, who's running 15th.
Well, Gremlins continue to plague Bill Elliott as he had an exhaust pipe dragging on the right side a moment ago. And Mike Beam, the crew chief, stands on the pit wall and has a bungee cord in his hand. He has now walked around behind the pit box as they are looking and waiting possibly to bring Bill Elliott in, hoping maybe to get a caution flag to be able to strap that exhaust pipe up. We've already seen one come loose earlier, and that was on the left side of Ricky Rudd's car.
Greg Sachs just came in the pits of the USA or Jasper Engine's car and overshot his pits. Apparently he has a brake problem as well. They're going under the hood on his car.
Yeah, he was using his car up, as I said.
You can see flame coming from the brakes of that car.
He definitely has a brake problem.
Yeah, he does. He sure does.
I said when he was racing Rusty Wallace, he was using the car more than he wanted to, but he needed to get that lap back. And Jeff Bodine, the Excite battery car, who ran so strong, has won a lap down to a leader Rusty Wallace.
Bringing out the chemicals to extinguish the fire there in the brake area of Greg Sachs' car.
Bill Elliott will be the next car to go a lap down. He's currently in 15th position.
Difference between Rusty Wallace, the leader, and Bill Elliott, who's in 15th and stands to go a lap down here before long. We'll show you a snapshot here again. Watch for your favorite car and driver. There's Waltrip and Lamati running side by side.
Darrell is ninth. Now that he's passed the 22 car, or just about past him at least, that's ninth for him.
Good run for Darrell here this afternoon. And also for Bobby Lamati.
They're about a quarter of a lap ahead of Rusty Wallace. In other words, Rusty is 3/4 of a lap ahead of them, I should say, but he's a bit more behind them.
This is looking back from the car of Derek Cope. Jerry, what's going on down there at the Greg Sachs pit?
While the problem continues to plague competitors, the O-ring has come out of the car number 77, the Jasper U.S. Air Ford. They're going to try to plug it, but apparently the brake fluid has gotten on some of the brake ductwork and set the ductwork on fire. They have now put the fire out, and they are trying to plug the O-ring area before they bring him back and try to fix it. What a tough break 2 weeks in a row for a car that could have had a very good finish.
We're nearing the halfway point here at Martinsville. About 29 more laps. It's Rusty Wallace continuing to lead. We'll be right back.
Here they go in their pits.
Okay, that's Neil.
How long will this take?
Stay for however long you want.
Thank you.
Once Ernie's got some kind of problem in the right rear. Ernie's got a problem in the right rear. I guess our guys are down there.
Billboard's coming back, Neil. Thank you. ESPN Speed World from Martinsville is being brought to you by Quaker State, the intelligent oil for longer engine life. By Smooth Bush Beer and easy drinking Bush Light. Bush, the official beer of NASCAR. Well, the caution came out for debris, and we had a whole bunch of activity on pit road once again.
And there we see one of the catch cans that the guys use. See the probe that goes in the vent to open it? Oh, and the guy took a header right there.
I hope he didn't hit his head on anything. Should be okay. It was from Earnhardt's car. There you can see him carrying it.
That catches the excess fuel as it comes out of the car, and
he's wiggling the car trying to disconnect it, and it's going to here in a minute. Trust me.
You think it is?
Yeah, he knows it's on there, so he does not want to have to come back in pits and give up that track position.
He's losing some excess fuel because there's a flapper in the vent that slams shut to keep that fuel in there, and that's what the probe is for, to open the thing up. But did he ever lose it?
Well,
yeah, he lost it because we saw that guy have it.
Yeah, the guy didn't come along. There it went, right there. Here's John Kernan.
Well, as you can imagine, the crew down here in the Richard Childress pit, they're a little bit disgusted because Earnhardt has gotten the black flag twice. Apparently, from what Richard Childress says, Dale will have to come down pit road as he does come in off of turn 4. They had an excellent pit stop, but they didn't leave the catch can on, so Earnhardt will have to come down apparently for a stop and go. And maybe get long enough for Chuck Myers to plug in just a half a gallon of gas himself. Earnhardt will stop, and the crowd is going wild. They're telling Earnhardt, okay, pit road. And now let's go down to Jerry Punch.
And Ernie Irvin, who had trouble on his initial pit stop, they had a problem with the air gun. Eric Horn had a lug nut stuck in the right rear air gun, couldn't get all the lug nuts tightened. They weren't totally sure they had them all tight. Rather than take a chance on wasting a race car or injuring a driver, they made the call, bring Ernie back in. They put fresh lug nuts on the right rear, and now he is back in heavy traffic. Bob?
We'll show you the triple pit stop here, our split, and we'll document what happened to Ernie Irvin.
We see that Rusty Wallace is already working on his pit stop. Ernie comes in. That's Eric Horn on the right rear. The tire comes off, no problem. He starts to put it back on. The jack goes around on the left side, and we see Eric still there. He normally would be up, going around to the other side. He's still there, still working. Everyone is leaving. Rusty's left. Earnhardt's down, or changing the left side's down.
Now they come back with the jack bending to jack the car up. Maybe they let the jack down awfully quick before he really had a chance to get an air gun on those lug nuts, and maybe it just didn't tighten up.
Maybe the wheel was not positioned properly. Anyway, Eric Horn wisely stayed there and communicated on the radio with the crew that, wait, we still got a problem here.
Well, we're still lining up for the restart. In the meantime, let us welcome the Grand Marshal for today's 39th running of the Haynes 500. Five-time Olympic medalist, and in fact, the first American woman ever to win a gold medal in the gymnastics, Mary Lou Retton. Hi.
Howdy.
Good to have you here.
Thanks. Good
You having
to
a good
be
time?
Here. I'm having a blast. This is my first NASCAR race, and no one better to go to but the Haynes 500.
So what does a Grand Marshal do?
Well, I was supposed to say, gentlemen, start your engine.
So what happened?
I don't know. Some other man did it.
Some other man?
I am mad. arm
A
off.
man did it.
A man did it. I was supposed to do it. Actually, though, I was
tell
in
you
the
what.
pace car and I
Go
rode
ahead.
around.
You got a
later.
bigger audience right now on TV than they're here anyway. Do it right
Do it
now.
right now.
Gentlemen, start your engine.
There you go.
All right.
Woo!
Look at this crowd. They're on their feet.
Mary Lou, I got to tell you, in the previous years, we've had Steve Largent and Boomer Esiason, and you sure are a lot prettier than those guys.
Oh, thank you.
A lot smaller as well.
A lot smaller. This is a blast for me. My husband Sean and I have been to many IndyCar races, but this is our first NASCAR, and man, there is some rubbing going on out there.
Better believe it.
They say here, Mary Lou, if you aren't rubbing, you aren't racing.
I had a chance to race in a celebrity race last year at Long Beach, and I really came out respecting the drivers a lot. It is so athletic. It takes so much discipline. Mentally, you cannot leave your thoughts for a second.
Here's a race for what is it, third place between Darrell Waltrip and Rick Mast. Where do these guys come from?
Well, they had great pit stops, I guess.
They sure did. Here's
Although Darrell was in the top 10, but now he's battling for the third position. Moves around Rick Mast.
Yep, Darrell Waltrip in third spot behind Kyle Petty and the leader, Rusty Wallace.
And we see Jeff Bodine in the 7-car back. It looks like he's running pretty well, so maybe they were able to fix whatever problem they had because he's a lap down. He's got to get to the leader, get back in the lead lap.
Mary Lou, I'm so glad to hear you confess, if you will, that race drivers are athletes, because that argument has been going on for years, and a lot of people don't think so. So if they ever ask, please tell them.
Oh, man, I do physically and mentally. I mean, you cannot lose your concentration at all. Hey, Ned, how's number 18 doing?
Well, he's struggling a little bit. Right now, I'm flattered that you would know who he is. Thank you. He has lost the power steering, and that's going to take some athletic ability to finish this race.
These cars aren't automatic, are they?
No, they're still.
I was joking. I know that much.
He said this is the first NASCAR race that you had been to. Did you know these guys know all of them?
I knew, of course, some big names. Of course, the Dale Earnhardts and the Morgan Shepherds and all those big names. And I met them at the beginning, which was a big thrill for me. This is fun. Woo, they go so fast. I'm just glad Haynes invited me to be here. My goodness. Am I the first woman?
I think so, yeah. Like I say, we've had Boomer Esiason and Steve Largent, and who else have we had?
Oh, man, we had a terrible time coming off the second quarter back there. Someone slowed down, and about 10 cars later, they got sideways.
Yes, Dave Grissom was one of those that got bumped pretty good. Ken Schrader now has his brakes repaired, I guess, and is about to head back out.
Let's see exactly what started this little deal we had just a moment ago. This is not it. Trust me, this is live action as we see it.
Here it is.
There's the end of it.
was involved. Who is it? John Andretti?
Yeah. It started about 10 cars in front of them. The wreck finally got back to them. The guys in front of them that started it really didn't have a problem. As Nemechek now is slowing the body to muffler car.
We're coming up on the halfway point here. We got 9 laps to go to the halfway point, and here is Earnhardt and Jeff Burton. And the 28.
Both these guys, Earnhardt, remember he was black flagged and the catch can around, had to start back in the middle of the back, and Ernie Irvin with that problem in the right rear.
Yeah, there are 14 cars on the lead lap, and Ernie coming back in, that made him 14th. Earnhardt came out in 13th position, so yes, they have a lot of cars to pass.
9th, 10th, and 11th. The 12th position car is Michael Waltrip.
Michael having another good run here today. He was not far from being lapped before the last
he almost lost it.
Well, that all started about 10 car lengths in front of them when Morgan Shepard and Bobby Hamilton made some contact. They slowed, and like I said, they almost got a spin, or we do have a spin.
Jimmy Spencer right in front of a whole bunch of traffic, but everybody gets by him, and Spencer keeps rolling, but the caution comes out.
That's pretty acrobatic there, wasn't it?
That was a perfect 10. My gosh, he did a complete 360 degrees turn. That is amazing that no one hits him. That's what's incredible to watch.
That's exactly what they were thinking. Everyone behind him.
Okay.
What's this, Mary Lou?
Call it, Mary Lou.
Here he's going down the lane, and watch this. Boom, he goes halfway, 160, 130, 360, excuse me. And he stuck it.
Good job.
Woo!
He did a 180 and he went to 130. Her math is about like yours.
Yes.
You and I get along just fine, Mary Lou.
I'm an English major.
Stay with me.
Looks like they decided not to pit. Well, they're on pit road to say, what are they going to do?
Pits are open, but they decided not to. It hasn't been too long since they were in, so nobody really needs a pit stop. Mary Lou, thanks, and thanks for coming up
you guys.
with the
This is a blast.
Come back again and see us.
I will.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Lou, the
ya.
Grand Marshal for today's Haynes 500 here at Martinsville. We're under caution once again. This is the 7th caution period of the day. We're at Martinsville Speedway, Virginia, and we'll be right back. We have run less than a lap under green. There's the first lap under green. It is also the cross flags indication from Doyle Ford. We have reached the halfway point. 250 completed, 250 to go. It is Rusty Wallace leading. And while we had that caution period, Jeff Gordon got back in the race.
And none of the leaders pitted. None of the leaders pitted. And Jimmy Spencer made a pit stop. He passed a couple of cars on the racetrack, advanced his position to come into pits, and NASCAR held him a lap for advancing his position.
That put him back to 26th. He's 2 laps down.
There we see Earnhardt and Ernie Irvin in heavy. Now that's not heavy traffic. That's heavy traffic. Chuck Bound right in front of him.
Chuck having a great run here today. Currently being shown in 8th position. Had trouble up in turn 3 and 4. Derek Coates is
No caution. Not yet. He's moving, so we will not have a caution.
We continue on. Green flag is Derek Coates go down to turn 1.
Derek running in 20th position. He was. Here's a replay of what happened.
Well, Derek's up on the outside of late speed in the car number 15. They touch just a little bit, doesn't take much, and around he goes. And
both Steve Grissom and Nemechek got on the binders real hard.
Yes, they did.
There's the leader, Rusty Wallace, leading Kyle Petty, Darrell Waltrip, Mark Martin, and Rick Mast. Those are your top 5 as we are just 4 laps past the halfway point. John Kernan can update us on Jeff Bodine, who was an early leader here this afternoon.
Bob, you may notice that Jeff Bodine's doing a pretty good job right now of keeping up with Rusty Wallace. In fact, they hope they can catch that car, pass it, and get back on the lead lap. Talking with Paul Andrews just a few moments ago, they thought they may have had a bad shock. Remember, his car got really, really loose. The wheel tended to hop in the turns. Apparently, the shock is not the problem. It was a bad set of tires and also a combination of the air pressure on the right rear going up too high. So now they've got that problem fixed just with this new set of tires. So Jeff Bodine hopes to get back on the lead lap, but it's going to be tough catching Rusty Wallace and then passing him.
Indeed, it will be. There's Rusty, whose per race average finish on short track races in the last 14 is 1.92. Unbelievable. He has led the first 182 of the first 254 laps. 6 lead changes among 3 cars. 14 cars on the lead lap. We've had 7 caution periods, and the average speed is just above 74 miles an hour. Those that have led a lap and picked up 5 bonus points include, besides Wallace, the current leader, Jeff Bodine and Ernie Irvin. And believe it or not, we don't have a single car that is officially out of the race. And there are 14 on the lead lap, and that is pretty darn good for Martinsville more than halfway through.
That's unbelievable. There are another 8 cars that are 1 lap down, and then another 6 that are 2 laps down. Dale Jarrett's in a lap by himself. We might point out, we talked about that power steering problem we had. Apparently they changed that during the caution, and they lost 2 more laps under the caution, but apparently they changed that power steering. They did something.
Here's another snapshot, a little bit closer, so you have a better glimpse of your favorite driver.
It's really a nice shot. It is. Great shot.
and see how those cars just barrel into turn one.
That pink car that you saw just a moment ago, that's Jimmy. New paint job debuted here at Martinsville this week. Petron Plus sponsorship.
Petron is an oil additive. Or an engine additive, does something that's supposed to make it run slicker.
Ranger Witt was trying to tell me last night.
Well, he explained that it breaks down molecules. It breaks down, I don't know what that means.
Well, that's why I didn't talk about it, because I didn't know anything about it, and neither do you. So
well, it breaks down molecules, and that helps.
They did say that. I heard it. There you can see the cars that are 1 lap down and then 2 laps down. Started that category.
Jay Hedge got back in 30th spot.
And these cars have been in behind the wall and had major problems, but they are out there running. Jeff Gordon has had the biggest problems, spent the most time behind the wall.
Bobby Labonte and Jeff Burton, they're in 13th and 14th position. There's Steve Grissom, another rookie in the Max Race Cards Rookie of the Year battle. That's Strickland there at 23. And Grissom is the highest running rookie at the moment.
He won't be if that 8-car passes him.
Well, that's right, but at the moment he is.
And while we were watching this, the 21 car passed Rick Mass to take over the 5th spot.
We hadn't heard much out of Morgan Shepherd since the early part of the race. He was up there in great shape after making a 2-tire change early in the race, got up there in the top 5, then had to come in to get a fender pulled off the wheel of the sit-go forward. But since then, Morgan has stayed in the lead lap, had a good pit stop this last time, and now is on the leaderboard again on the scoreboard here, which shows 5 positions. He's in 5th.
Look at old DW. Get pretty racy here at Martinsville.
It's been a while since he was up there in a position to be competitive and race for second and even the lead.
Not far away.
Not that far away. The king of the short tracks, Rusty Wallace. Rusty is the leader over Kyle Petty. Darrell Waltrip running 3rd. Mark Martin is 4th, and Morgan Shepherd in a Ford is running 5th. Good run for Morgan. 6 through 10, it's Rick Mast. Dale Earnhardt leading the Chevy Brigade in the second 5. Ernie Irvin, Todd Bodine, and Chuck Bound complete the top 10 here at Martinsville. In the Haynes 500, the 8th race in the 1994 NASCAR Winston Cup season. We'll be right back. ESPN Speed World today at Martinsville Speedway in Virginia for the Haynes 500, being led by Rusty Wallace. He has led 201 laps so far. There's the Network MCI blimp hovering high above the racetrack and providing the aerial shots for us this afternoon.
What's Network MCI? Is that a phone?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep.
Northern Television Network.
Boy, isn't that a spectacular view of this place?
Oh, it is.
Clay Earls has done an outstanding job of preparing the facility as he always does.
And see, Jeff Burton, I'm sorry, Bob, but the 8-car, he has slowed in the last few laps. The Rebestas Ford.
And just went a lap down, and he's in 13th place, so that means that we now have 12 cars on the lead lap.
So evidently he has lost his brakes, I would speculate.
Now, a moment ago, before we went to break, we had 14 cars on the lead lap, and the other rookie, Max Race Card Rookie of the Year challenge, Steve Grissom, was black flagged. He had a piece of his bumper that was dragging, and he had to come into the pits. So Steve was on the lap down. He now is in 15th position.
There's Rusty Wallace, our leader, the Phillips Signal Crowd Pontiac. There's Jimmy Hensley in his new paint job. Yellow and red, black. And there's Sterling Farmer.
He started second, don't forget, has been as low as 34th, currently running 32nd. He was involved in a crash down in turn number 4. Kyle Petty started 9th, currently 2nd, and has not led a lap so far. Darrell Waltrip is right behind him, and Darrell having a good run here this afternoon in the Western Auto Chevrolet. Started 16th, and his current position of third is his highest.
There's Jeff Bodine, the inside battery. He wants to go to Mark Martin, who is currently running fourth. Started sixth is the Valvoline Ford. Passes the 7 car. Jeff Bodine, inside battery Ford. Started third. Just can't get over the racetrack right now. And there's Grissom, who was black flag. What was he dragging? They had the rear bumper.
Yeah, there was a piece off his bumper. It looked like it's sort of a plastic material there. It didn't look like metal, rubber or something that came off the car. Had to come and get it taken away. And then here comes Morgan Shepherd, the fifth place car, the Sheffield Ford. And right on his back bumper is Ernie Irvin, who had come from back in 14th position. It is now up to 6th.
Ernie started this race in 5th spot, was a leader at one point, led 1 lap as a matter of fact. But as you said, he is currently in 6th. And Dale Earnhardt is 7th, started 8th.
Well, Ernie Irvin just moved into 5th around Morgan Shepherd as we were watching them.
After Earnhardt comes in the next order is Bill Elliott, who's a lap or so down, 1 lap down, 15th position. That's the Budweiser Ford. Here's a guy who's having a great run today, Rick Masters, Gold Classic Ford Thunderbird. Started 11th, is now running 8th.
As high as 3rd. Bobby Hamilton has been as high as 12th, currently 16th after a 15th place start. Continuing our pan backs, as we call them, Ted Musgrave and the Family Channel Ford. Currently 17th after a 28th position start. On lap 140, he was as high as he's been.
Tom Bodine started 12th, then as high as 9th, as low as 36th. He was almost lapped there in the early part of the race.
Derek Cope, the Fingerhut Ford, had some problems today. He did tap a couple times, spun out, and there's Ricky Rudd going by. Rudd is running 18th right now. Had some problems early on. Had to go into pits and put up a exhaust pipe or something to shut down.
Boy, hats off to this guy, huh? Great run from 36th starting position. He's been as high as 8th. Currently is in 10th position. Waltrip is in 11th spot after a 7th place start.
And he's the last car on the lead lap because Rusty Wallace has just lapped the 22 car Bobby Labonte, who is in the 12th position.
Jeff Gordon involved in a crash, just came back out. Jimmy Spencer has fallen from his 4th starting position back to his current position of 23rd. How about last week's winner, Terry Labonte?
Struggling today. Involved in that crash with Sterling Marlin coming off turn 4. John's Cornflakes Chevrolet of Terry Labonte.
19th at the moment. And here's Hut Strickland. He's started 26th. He's currently 24th. Blake Speed was behind the wall for quite a while repairing the brakes on the quality care Ford number 15.
Another rookie candidate, started 33rd, up to 20th.
Good ball back as far as 36th.
He's a lap down. Dale Jarrett in the 18 car is 3 laps down, running at 29th. There goes the leader again, Rusty Wallace. One that we did not show you on that lap was Ken Streeter. Here he is, started 17th and is currently running 34th after spending quite a few laps behind the wall for brake repairs. And here's John Andretti, who started 27th, has moved up 3 positions from that to 24th. He was in 17th position on lap 88.
I saw a sponsor on that Andretti's car. He said Grand Piano, and I said, don't tell me there's a store that just sells grand pianos, but then I found out that they also sell furniture.
That's correct, yeah.
Oh, Labonte is really struggling. Bumper Chevrolet. Labonte's car is really, really slipping and sliding.
Here's Brett Bodine, started 35th, had to take a provisional to get into this event. Has moved up to 26th position. 77 car of Greg Sachs is running 31st. He almost cracked the top 10 on lap 103 before he had some problems that took him to the pit area. And the only other car out there that we haven't talked about is the one that you've been talking about all afternoon because of the new paint job, Jimmy Hensley.
Well, there he is.
That's a good-looking car.
Well, have you seen this paint job before? The answer to the question is no, you haven't.
You have seen every car that is out there. Well, we missed the 78 car of Jay Hitchcock. There he is.
And I want you to know that Jay Hitchcock is the very proud owner of some new hair.
Good for him.
He said, please don't mention that. So, okay, Jay. I didn't mention it.
Never tell Benny not to mention anything because sure as the world he will. You saw every car out there. Rusty Wallace is dominating the Haynes 500 at Martinsville at lap 296. Back at Martinsville Speedway in Virginia, and at about an hour and 19 minutes or so, we'll switch our coverage from this NASCAR Winston Cup event and go to the 1994 NFL Draft with Chris Berman, Joe Theismann, and Tom Jackson. They'll take you through every single selection of the 94 NFL Draft with live reports from everywhere. And our coverage continues tomorrow at 10 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN2. The 1994 NFL Draft coming up at 3:30 this afternoon here on ESPN.
You meant they would take it to the first round draft. Did you? Huh? You said that they would have every draft pick.
Well, every draft pick will be on either ESPN or ESPN2.
Oh, that's pretty neat.
Yes.
Never see Rusty Wallace, their leader, is still leading.
Yeah, he sure is.
Or the leader that was leading the race went away on break is still leading the race. But Ernie Irvin has worked his way back to second place. And Rusty is gaining on Ernie. That's not a good sign.
He sure is. He's picked it up by 0.7 of a second.
We see Ernie had one lap at a 21.7, so looks like traffic really bothered him one lap, and that could be most of the advantage of Rusty gained.
And Ernie's coming up in some heavy traffic right now. And Rusty has some in front of him there, too.
Well, I tell you, these cars are starting to slip and slide and dance out there now, Ned.
Yes, they are. They've been out there a little while on these tires, and the sun shining down on the cement and the asphalt, getting hot.
We're going back to, there we see Ernie Irvin go by. We're going back to find
Dale Earnhardt.
There he is. And on his last pit stop, they have a catch can that catches the excess fuel. He's won about 6 going to make that fifth. They have a catch can that they catch excess fuel in, and it was somehow hung in his car as he left. And NASCAR black flagged him for that. He had to start at the rear of the car one lap down. He's worked his way back to fifth, but Ernie Irvin was right in front of him. Ernie's worked his way all the way back to second, so looks like the Hamlin car of Ernie Irvin. If he and Rusty can get hooked up, yes, we'll see with that.
Well, Jerry, we begin to think about pit stops now before too long. What's the strategy being contemplated down there?
Bob, a lot of calculators being used here in the pit, something probably you should stay away from. But in all honesty, what's happening down here is that the teams who last pitted on lap 226, including Rusty Wallace, figure if we stay green, if we stay completely green without a caution, they can make it on one more stop, which should come around lap 365 to 370. That will give 130 laps to the checkered flag here for one final stop if we stay green. Let's go to John Curtis.
Jerry, that's exactly what Jack Roush and Steve Hill have figured in the Martin pit, as they are waiting to make their final pit stop. Just they're about 10 laps earlier than what the team's on, and it looks like Kyle Petty has dropped off the pace. Martin and they're planning on pitting about lap 355, Bob.
Yeah, Kyle is definitely off the pace as here comes Earnhardt by him with ease, and so does Mark Martin. And Kyle is really,
I think he's lost an O-ring, and in the right front brake caliper. I see smoke out of the right front, just like every other car. Schrader, the 77 car. Someone else did the 5 car. Someone else lost a brake caliper today, the O-ring.
Jerry, any information?
Well, just like Blake Speed and Kenny Schrader and the car number 77 of Greg Sachs, we have a brake problem, an O-ring problem with the car number 42 with no warning, just like what happened with Kenny Schrader. The car apparently just, the pedal was all the way to the floor, and now he has trouble getting the car stopped. As Rusty Wallace works in the traffic, they prepare to bring Kyle Penny down pit road.
This is what Benny described earlier as heavy traffic that Rusty is in.
Just needs to be careful going through that traffic, and he will. He's got a good lead.
We'll look at the suspension cam and see if we can see any wear on the brakes.
Like he's not using the brakes quite as badly as he was to begin with. I still can see the rotors are still not turned red as we follow Rusty Wallace up in the little corner. That's the 27 car of Jimmy Spencer. And I would imagine that Buddy Parrott has seen Kyle Petty or seen these other guys having these problems with the brakes. He's probably cautioning and telling him to easy on the brakes. As Kyle Petty's in the pits, Jerry Punch is there.
They have a fire in the right front. They have a fire extinguisher and a hose. The crew is prepared for Kyle to come down pit road, and Kyle brought it in very, very slowly. When they saw the fire coming underneath the brake area, they told him to hurry up. The crew physically stopped the car, and now Robin Pemberton, Brian Pemberton, and the company are working on the right front to turn the tire off so they can get to the fire. Now they will use a hose to try to cool off and the fire extinguisher to put out some of the brake ductwork, which is caught on fire and is now burning beneath the right front of the car.
They got a pretty good little blaze going down there, Bob.
Yeah, they sure do. Still blazing. Still going.
Yeah, Jerry's right. What's happening is that the brake hoses, the defroster hoses are catching on fire because it's so hot in there. And finally they took, and Dale Earnhardt is spun. Earnhardt is spun up in between 1 and 2. No contact yet. Here comes Rusty Wallace, and he and Spencer get together, and Spencer spins around. Spencer was trying to get in front of Rusty to get a lap back, and I'm excited.
That's okay. This is an exciting moment.
Here comes Rusty, and looks like once again Todd Bodine.
Oh, man, he came through there a little faster than he probably wanted to.
Well, that was Bobby Labonte you're talking about. Yeah, he really came through there. Don't know if he got by Rusty or not.
I don't think so. I think he missed by just a few feet. Anyway, the big news is that Dale Earnhardt spun in turn 2. Let's see if we can figure out what happened. Whoa!
Yep,
Brett
got the
Bodine.
tap from Brett Bodine as they went around the turn and spun him right around.
Here's Jerry and Rusty Wallace's pit.
And this will not be the final pit stop for the day. They'll have to stop at least once more with 30 to 40 laps to go. Here comes the Miller Genuine Draft Ford Thunderbird down here, as well as the car number 28 and the car number 17. You're going to see them all three in the pit box here. 28 and 2, pitting nose to tail. Major chassis adjustment, one round away, taken out of the car number 28. Right side tires on 28, left side tires going on 2. They've also adjusted the chassis on Darrell Walton's Western outside number 17. Rusty is down and away, the car number 2. A wrench problem once again with the 28 minute. You can see it from the top.
Eric Horn, once again on the right rear, is having a problem. They finally get the right rear changed. They're going around the left side, and Jared, they're going to have to hustle or get lapped. But once again, if they don't get lapped, everyone has to go to the very rear of the field as he goes away.
Last pit stop there was Darrell's 19.2, Irvin with a 34.8. And Rusty Wallace is going to get a stop and go for speeding on pit road.
Oh, man, oh, man.
The automobiles.
Here he comes.
Down pit road. I think Ernie Irvin's going to have to come back in. I think they just put the lug nuts back on the left side tires. We'll check and see if he comes back in and not change. You said they were about to go a lap down.
I said I wanted to see the 2 car in the 28 race, but I didn't have this in mind.
Okay, here's a replay. Rusty Wallace coming down. Here comes Irvin and Waltrip.
Now the penalty for Wallace would have been, with Rusty would have been going out, not coming in. They would have penalized him if he hits instead of coming in.
You can see the trouble there on the right rear of Ernie Irvin's car. Here comes Rusty, and this is where he allegedly violated the speed limit.
Now the worst part about it is that you had a 2 or 3 second advantage, didn't really have to speed.
Jerry, troubles continue for the 28 team.
And DJ do, Bob, but we might mention the fact they did change all 4 tires. The left side tires were fresh ones going on. They had to take the gun from the left rear around to the right rear to help Eric Horn, whose air wrench quit during the middle of the right side tire change. So they do have fresh tires, although the pit stop was over 30 seconds. Let's check in with John Kernan.
Well, Jerry, Dale Earnhardt is now down a lap, so look for him to make things exciting. They were a little bit concerned, Andy Petrie and Richard Childers, after the spin. Earnhardt told him he got down on the curbing, and they thought they might have messed something up underneath the car. But Andy says he thinks the car is okay.
Earnhardt will be a lap down when we go back to racing here at Martinsville, Virginia, the Haynes 500. We'll be right back after these messages. Jeff Bodine is getting squeezed. Whoa! Welcome back to Martinsville. We have completed 1 lap under green. Darrell Waltrip finds himself at the front of the field. Dale Earnhardt is right behind him. Dale is a lap down now in 9th position. In 2nd is Mark Martin and Ernie Irvin.
Earnhardt's going to get back in the lead lap here. He is on the inside of Darrell Waltrip and does get back in the lead lap. Well, now Darrell comes back from the outside, but Earnhardt has the advantage going into the first turn.
And Darrell could lose the lead here while he's messing around with Earnhardt.
Yeah, Mark Martin has not led today, has he? So I'm sure he wants to get up there and get 5 bonus points.
Ernie Irvin is looking on. John Kernan has more on Mark Martin, who goes to the lead.
Well, that was what Mark liked to do, get out front and get 5 bonus points for leading the lap. On the last pit stop, Mark's car had begun to get very, very loose. They changed 4 tires, sticker tires. They also tightened that race car up. They think they're going to be a factor here.
I tell you what, they didn't get quite tight enough, John, because he got awfully loose coming off the 2nd corner. And Darrell Waltrip had to jump out of the gas to avoid Mark Martin. That's let Ernie Irvin get alongside of him. Ooh. And Ernie carries Darrell up the racetrack, and once again, Waltrip had to get out of the throttle.
Darrell falls from the lead to 3rd in about 4 laps.
Now, if you want to know what happened to Rusty Wallace, NASCAR made him go, there he is right there, trying to get through this heavy traffic. NASCAR, the penalty was he had to go to the tail end of the longest line on the restart.
He is in 8th position right now. Dale Earnhardt is the last car on the lead lap. He is 9th. And boy, Rusty has a lot of cars to come through before he can get back up to the front.
This is heavy, heavy traffic.
Yes. Well, they got enough fuel that they probably can go the rest of the way. Oh yeah, they should be able to go the rest of the way. No problem.
There's some cars that probably can, man. Darrell Waltrip and what have you. Some of them may want to stop short because the car starts handling poorly. There we see 75 cars running 4th spot. Look at Todd Bodine. Sprung out on the 2nd or 3rd lap, and here he is running 4th.
And his best career finish is 19th. And this is his 19th NASCAR Winston Cup race. Another Fram Field summary. The 12 car, Chuck Bound, continues to impress me. He's in 6th.
Took a provisional to get in the deal.
Yeah.
Having a great run here today.
And Jerry Punch has more on Chuck Bound's drive today.
Gentlemen, actually it's Bobby Allison. A touching incident took place here on Friday. A youngster about 9 or 10 years old by the name of Chris came up to Bobby Allison and said, "Mr. Allison," and Bobby looked down and the youngster had two hands in front of him full of coins and single dollar bills all wadded up. He said, "I know you don't have a sponsor. This is the money I saved from shoveling snow all winter. I want you to have it because I want to help your race teams." Bobby said he was almost in tears. Said, "You know, the future of our country is in the hands of today's youth, and the future looks very bright."
That is a good story. Wow. Chuck Bound running in the 7th position. Mark Martin is in control of the race right now, and in fact, stretching out his advantage a little bit over Ernie Irvin, who's running second. Darrell Walters fell into third, then Morgan Shepherd and Todd Odine. ESPN Speed World from Martinsville, Virginia is being brought to you by Allied Signals Auto Lights Buck Parks, guaranteed for 2 years no matter how far you go. And by McDonald's, what you want is what you get at McDonald's today. Next Sunday, we'll be at Talladega Super Speedway for the Winston Select 500. Airtime 1:30 Eastern at the longest and the fastest racetrack that the NASCAR Winston Cup Series competes on. Next Sunday, 1:30 Eastern. And we'll be back with more of our live coverage from the Martinsville half-mile racetrack in just a moment. Mark Martin is your leader.
Laps is Dick Trickle down?
Dick Trickle is down.
Three laps. No, is that him there? No, that's 22.
Boy, you can't hardly read that.
Well,
that is awful. This monitor up here. The scoring monitor. I thought it was my eyes, but Ned can't read it. There he is.
Oh, yeah, he's
97 laps down.
Yeah, we had said at one time that he parked it. You remember, Benny? I'd forgotten that, but we need to establish that Kyle is back in and that Jeff Burton is out.
It's a little better, isn't it? At Martinsville, the Haynes 500, where Mark Martin is leading. Watching from his roof cam right now. In 16 previous starts at this racetrack, his best finish first in 1992. Haynes 500 for Mark Martin.
But, see, we need that camera looking out the back because right behind him comes Ernie Irvin.
Mark had built himself up a pretty good lead, but now Irvin is mowing him down.
Yeah, he's within a couple of car lengths.
And Kyle Petty is back out. Kyle Petty seems to be slowing a little bit on the racetrack right now. He was 8 laps behind when he came back out, being shown in 29th position, but is back running slow again down on the inside of the track. He was up to speed, but just the last lap, he has slowed down some.
And John Kernan has more. John?
Well, Bob, there's not really a problem with Mark Martin's car right now. We talked about how the car had been loose most of the day, and they kept working on it. They came here, and Steve Hill and the crew made very little changes. They brought the same setup from their little black book from the race here last fall. They've been working continually on the race car today, and they still look like they could make one more adjustment, which they will when they pit with about 40 laps remaining. They cannot go the rest of the way.
I said a little bit earlier they could. Maybe some of them can, as Benny said, but from the front runners, as they reported earlier, the RPMs they turn here, it's hard for them to go the 170 or so laps. I was looking at the scoreboard that's got some lights out on the numbers over there, and I thought there was only 125 laps to go when it was 175 laps to go at that time.
I get you and Bob both enrolled in the same school there, Ned.
I guess. Well, Barry Lou, if I'd looked up in the corner here, you see, I would have known how many laps there were to go.
Welcome to Bob's School of Subtraction. Well, Ernie Irvin, yeah, he's right there.
He is right there. Rusty Wallace is coming, but he's a long ways back. He's having some trouble getting through all this heavy traffic, and these guys are about a half a lap in front of Rusty Wallace.
Now Irvin moves to the inside of Mark. We may have a change of the lead here, and we do. Ernie Irvin goes to the front.
Has he led the race today?
Yes. This is the second time he's led.
Earnhardt has not led the race today, right?
Here's Dr. Jerry Punch.
Darrell Waltrip has radioed to Barry Dodson, his crew chief, his last 3-4 laps, and it still feels like I have a flat or have a tire going down. Apparently the car is shuddering or skipping. We've already seen it happen a couple of times today when some of the air pressure built up a little too much. It happened to Ernie Irvin and also happened to Mark Martin earlier today, but Waltrip is convinced that he may have a tire going down.
They talk about these tires building up. You know, the left side of the tires are so low in air pressure that these drivers on the caution flags and the start of the race, when they weave the car back and forth, they're told not to do that too severely. They're afraid they're going to roll the tire off the rim because the left side tires are so little air in them.
All right, there is your leader, Ernie Irvin, who came into this race second in the points, trailing by 20. Mark Martin third, followed by Ken Schrader and Lake Speed. These are the NASCAR Quest for the Cup point standings. In the second 5, it's Wallace, Labonte, Rudd, Marlin, and Kyle Petty. Stay with us. More from Martinsville in a moment. Yep.
Morgan Shepherd is third, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct. Less than an hour, about 53 minutes or so, we'll be switching you live to New York City for the 1994 NFL Draft coming up next here on ESPN. And we'd like to thank the people from Network MCI and the blimp that hovers overhead for providing our aerial shots this afternoon. They're flying in some beautiful blue sky weather here today.
What you mean is about an hour some young man is going to become an instant millionaire, right?
Yes, that is for sure. And several will today, probably. Once again, they have packed them in here at Martinsville. Tremendous crowd on hand. I'm sure it's the largest ever to watch a race here at Martinsville because, as I said earlier, they built 3,000 new seats over at turn number 2. They sold those out within days. But the racetrack is never a sellout until the morning of the race because they hold several thousand back for sale on race morning, and they all went quickly today.
There we see Ernie Irvin going by the 41 car of Joe Nemechek, and just in front of him, there's Dale Jarrett, the Interstate Battery car, but there's Earnhardt. We just saw Dale Earnhardt, the Goodwrench Chevrolet, go out of the frame, and you know that Ernie wants to catch that black 3 and get him a lap down.
When Mark Martin was leading the race, Earnhardt pulled away from him and had himself a pretty good cushion. But once Ernie got around Mark Martin and took the lead, he is closing in on Earnhardt.
Where is Rusty Wallace? He is running in 8th position, but in terms of track position, he is way back there. There's Chuck Bown, and there's Rusty Wallace.
Chuck Bown in the 7th position.
Time the leader and Rusty the interval was shrinking or gaining, and it's really stayed about the same. Went from 10.7 to 10.8.
I think the Rusty's having more trouble with traffic, and that is the normal for a car that's back in 8th or 9th, 7th or 8th place versus the leader of the race. So it seems like the slower cars will move over to the leader of the race much easier than they will for someone who's running back in 7th or 8th. Even though the guy in 7th or 8th may be faster. And here's Irvin. There's Earnhardt.
Ernie Irvin is the only driver with 5 top 5s in the first 7 races of this year, and he's on his way to another one. Maybe a win his third year.
Jerry Punch doing one of the commercial breaks. I don't know if we've told the people, this is not the same car he used in North Wilkesboro last week. This is the car that he used, I think, here to win the race last fall in such a dominating fashion. Goes by Michael Walter, Martinsville Pontiac, puts Michael a lap down.
Michael is in 14th position. He now is 2 laps down.
Ernie won the Unical bonus money when he won here last year, didn't he?
Yes.
That brought the fans to their feet.
Earnhardt would love to see a caution here right quick.
Very quick. 125 laps to go. Earnhardt's car just doesn't appear to be getting off the corner as well as Ernie. Ernie's going to try it on the outside.
Earnhardt just basically moved over and said, go ahead, because I think he realizes right now he just does not have the car to compete with the 28 car, so he rather than use his car totally.
So he goes a lap down.
Now there are 8 cars left on the track.
Rusty, of course, is running 8th.
Like Richard Childress and Andy Baker, the crew on the Goodrich Chevrolet, and he's tweaking just a little bit more on the next pit stop.
There are a total of 5 cars that are 1 lap down.
Watch him go through the frame.
Second place car, Mark Martin. Here comes third place, Morgan Shepherd. Fourth, Rick Mast. There goes fifth, Darrell Walter. Sixth, 75 car. And there's seventh, Rusty Wallace.
Rusty just passed Chuck Bow and took over the 7th position.
So now with 121 laps to go in this race, it is Ernie Irvin that has assumed the command. He's our 5th leader of the afternoon. Speed World coverage of the Haynes 500 this afternoon from Martinsville Speedway in Virginia. The race is being led by Ernie Irvin in the Texaco Haviland Ford.
There's Ward Burton in the Hardy's car right in front of him.
Ford is running 19th, about to go 4 laps down. Ernie Irvin this season has 2 wins and 1 pole position. But has been very consistent, and that is the reason that he is right up there in the point standings. Rusty Wallace and Todd Bodine are racing for position. This is for 6th.
Rusty goes in the corner.
Oh, there against the wall is Jeff Bodine.
Pretty heavy contact with the right side of the Exide battery car.
Jeff was running in 10th position, 1 lap down.
Heavy smoke coming out of the right front. It's like he went in the corner and lost the brakes, or
well, he's trying to back the car up and get it going again. Now he does. Well, now Rusty Wallace can make up some track positions in the pit area as the pits are open, and here comes Irvin.
Yeah, but it's going to be a while before he can get into the pits. Something will have to go wrong with Mark Martin and Ernie Irvin before he can beat them out of the pits, even as good as his crew is.
Sure as the world doesn't want to speed. Here's Jerry Punch.
Quick Jesse just put in the right rear by Larry McReynolds. Right side tires already on. And fortunately, the air ring doesn't have a problem this time. Left side tires are on for Ernie Irvin. Irvin, and he is off the jack and away. Great pit stop by the Robert Yates Haviland team. They moved the tire. Still waiting now for the car number 2 to come out. Rusty Wallace getting left side tire. Darrell Waltrip gets the pit stop. He is down pit road as what's left of Jeff Bodine's car makes his way to the pits.
Bodine with some heavy, heavy damage on the right front of that car, but he has made it into the pit area. Under caution once again here at Martinsville. We'll be right back. The green flag is waving as you rejoin us on lap 394. Just a little over 100 laps to go. And the Haynes 500, and Ernie Irvin continues to lead, and Dale Earnhardt continues to try to get his lap back. John Kernan is with Jeff Bodine.
Well, Jeff, today just luck wasn't on your side. What happened to the tire finally? Did the tire go down?
I saw some debris down in front straightaway, and when I died, I guess I didn't. I must have run over something. The tire just blew out. So we got off a little on our chassis partway through the race. My fault, made a wrong call. We got it back running pretty good that last run. We were still just a little too tight. We're going to make another adjustment, and I think we're going to be pretty good. I don't know if we could have made the lap up. You know, we needed a caution. We didn't need to be hit, though. But everything was working good. It's a shame. You know, X-side, where Hawkins was here. Hi to Cindy back home. Her father's in the hospital. Hi to her. Auto Express, Napa. And, you know, you can buy these user street tires at Auto Express. So go on out there and buy some of these tires.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. Bob?
All right. Jeff Bodine out of the race, and the caution is waving once again.
Well, Jimmy Spencer spun coming off of turn 2 over there. Got it to going, Bob, but apparently jumped debris on the track.
And so we'll take another break and be right back to Martinsville, Virginia.
Good idea.
Good idea.
Good idea there, Mr. Pedrosa.
Better show us. We have an ISO. To the truck.
Guys have no feelings whatsoever. None whatsoever. Pathetic.
Cruel group, isn't it?
And Mikey's the leader.
Yes, he
ring
is.
leader. The absolute ring leader. He must not be listening to me.
He's busy. Field is lining up for a restart next time around. This is what caused our 10th caution flag here at the Haynes 500. Jimmy Spencer spinning in the backstretch. Look at the left of your frame, I believe. Yeah, there he is.
Apparently some contact between he and another car, and he spun down to the inside, sat there. All the cars got by him, Bob, and he was sitting there facing the traffic, and then he got the car to going, but apparently there was some debris over there or something, and the caution was thrown.
Here we go back to green as the Pontiac pace car pulls off. Ernie Irvin once again leads them down toward the green flag. Mark Martin is lined up second. Waltrip, Rusty Wallace, and Rick is running fifth. We ran 3 laps under caution, and we now have 100 laps to go.
And once again, Earnhardt was not able to get by Ernie Irvin.
With Rusty Wallace in 4th place.
He's hung on the outside of Bill Elliott. Just can't make a lot of headway and get him by as Elliott comes back. Elliott backs off and lets Rusty go.
Now Rick Mast moves up the side of Elliott. Mast in 5th position.
Rusty Wallace Wallace pulls up right behind Darrell Waltrip. That's our third-place car, the Western Auto Chevrolet up there.
Rick Mast, Todd Bodine, and Morgan Shepherd are all on the lead lap, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Ted Musgrave is a lap down in car 16 in 11th position.
Ooh, Morgan Shepherd bumps the 75 car just a tad coming off of turn 4, and Todd Bodine saved it. Morgan backed off and gave him room to straighten the car out.
See if Rusty can go to third. Yes, he does. He passes Darrell Waltrip, and there's debris on the backstretch. Looks like it's pretty high.
That's in turn 4.
Yeah, it's pretty high, too, up in the gray stuff, not the groove.
12 car, Chuck Mount on the outside of Michael Walton.
Chuck has been sliding a little bit the last few laps. He's had a couple of bumps from some drivers. He can't get back down on the inside. Looks like he might have hit the wall there a little bit.
Just a couple of laps ago, he goes in the corner and gets a little bump from the 22 car, Bobby Labonte, and Chuck does a great job in saving that car.
But Chuck is still on the lead lap in 8th spot.
Rusty Wallace, he's moved into third.
Closing in on Mark Martin for second.
There's Mark Martin. About 10 or 15 car lengths right now. The lead on Rusty Wallace for second spot. Dale Earnhardt there. Again, Goodrich Chevrolet is a lap down and spun earlier. Before he could get going, Rusty Wallace, who was in leading, went by Earnhardt, putting the lap down.
Go underneath the car and check the suspension cam, and maybe we can get an idea of how much he's using the brakes.
Steve Grissom is spun, went off the fourth corner, and no caution. They all was able to get by him. He gets his car going, and no caution.
Grissom was 15th, lost a couple of positions when he spun, but no caution. Let's look at it again. Again, watch the left side of your screen there, Steve, sideways, and ooh, Hut Strickland just missed him.
Just did miss him, man. It looked to me like that maybe Ernie Irvin backed off the gas when the car spun. His spotter might have said, and I think his spotter is his dad, Vic, might have said caution flag, and Ernie backed off just a little bit and let Mark Martin and Rusty Wallace gain a few car lengths.
Or he could have even said spin in turn 4, maybe not caution flag, but still, when you hear spin, assume there's one anyway.
Yeah. Ernie Irvin, who's up ahead of Rusty Wallace, with whom we are riding, and Mark Martin, has led 52 now of the 409 laps. He has led, or did lead, 39% of the total laps in the first 3 short track races of this year. Here's a Fran Field summary. Here's Rusty Wallace moving to second. Don't count him out of this thing by any means. He now is in second position, putting Mark back to third.
He's up in 6th place when the caution flag came out, the last caution flag. Once again, Buddy Barrett, Todd, Brad, Scott Robinson, all those guys. Earl Barber, the fellows on the crew, made that great pit stop.
Well, they picked him up some positions in the pit, which was great. But more than anything, he was a half a lap behind, and he got to close up. And so that really put him in position to challenge.
It's Ford, Chevy, and Ford for you manufacturers fans in the top 5 at Martinsville. Who did? You can't do that. That is not permitted. Yep. And they also banned going to the restroom during the middle of a race. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yep, that's why we see so many people down in front of us in the grandstands hopping up and down. It's quite a sight.
All right, all you folks, jump up and hop. She's hopping.
Rusty is going to get the lead here in a few laps, isn't he? We're back at Martinsville, and a great battle is shaping up for the lead. Rusty Wallace has battled back from his stop-and-go penalty and is right on the back bumper now of the leader, Ernie Irvin.
Well, Ben, you want to see what would happen if the 28 and the 2 car got out together? Well, they're together here now. So we'll see what happens.
Yes, I asked for this, and thank goodness I was able to see it. Looks like right now Rusty might be a little bit quicker. We'll see.
Well, it was quick enough to run Ernie down.
At this point in the race, there are only 2 cars being shown out of the race. That is unbelievable. Jeff Burton is out. He will unofficially finish 36th, and John Andretti has dropped out of competition. This is how Rusty Wallace was able to close the interval down from 0.8 of a second down to where he is now, which is just a few car lengths, really.
Just a few feet.
Yeah.
When he goes to the corners, those feet might become inches. When all these cars practice, the crews find each lap, and they're looking for that consistency. They want to run the same thing lap after lap after lap.
Next week, it's on to Talladega, the Super Speedway. This is the, look at that. Boy, Rusty had to really saw the wheel to keep her in control.
He was definitely doing some serious sawing going up that fourth corner.
I was about to say the next time we visit a short track, it'll be in Bristol on August 27th. So no more short track racing for a while, but it should be fun next week at Talladega.
Kept the steering wheel in one spot. No slippage of the rear wheels. We'll try this time. We'll see how he comes off the corner. Once again, car comes off straight.
Passing Jay Hedgecock to the left.
I feel like Ernie works, his car works higher, goes around the traffic much better than does Rusty Wallace.
I think Rusty has his car set up to run right on the bottom of the racetrack. As long as he can do that, he's fast.
I saw a puff of smoke from the left front tire on Rusty's car coming out of turn 2. Let's see if it happens again. Didn't see it that time, but I did see it.
Take a look and see if you see what you saw, Bob. There it was.
How about that?
Sure enough, you did.
He's having to pump the brakes, I would guess. He looks like that possibly he has a brake problem. Pumping up.
He's brought back a few.
Let's check that right front. Let's see. Yeah, I read this. Doesn't look like the rotor is getting very warm. Evidently, he can't use the brakes that much. He does have a brake problem. He's doing a heck of a job with it today. That's definitely what that was. There we see the rotor light up a little bit. Last year's Haynes 500 finish, the car 2 won the race, and guess who finished second?
Ernie Irvin.
Okay, there you go.
Oh, okay.
Car length advantage on Rusty Wallace.
for the Pole City qualifying speed.
You would go for the pits. That is
Trouble down here in turn 1 and 2.
Dick Trickle has spun. Caution.
not yet. Not yet.
But he's still sitting there. Now the caution is out.
Now he's rolling and the caution comes out.
All happening at exactly the same time. The Haynes 500 record for caution flags, 12 in 1974.
And that, I believe, is our 11th of the day, so we're within one of the all-time record. There is Dick Trickle, the cause of the 11th caution. Pace car comes out, as you can see, pulling out of the pit area.
I guess he'll go in the pits and...
yeah, I would think so. They want those fresh tires on there.
Let's go to Jerry Punch as they come in for another stop.
It'll be 68 laps to go this time by as they come under caution. They bring them down very deliberately. Remember those speed limit penalties on pit road. Ernie Irvin and Rusty Wallace sitting nose to tail. We will watch and make sure that neither one of these cars has a trouble with the air wrench. Both of them revving the engine. No fuel so far in the 28 car. And a little bit of fuel here in the left side of car number 2. Left side tires going out. It's a race to the finish. Rusty is down and away. The 28 car is down. Rusty will win the battle back to turn 1.
Wow. I tell you what, the people here in front of us get more excited nowadays over pit stops than they do sometimes action on the racetrack. Everybody was standing up and cheering for their favorite driver to get in and out of the pits quickest. Well, we're set up now for the end of the race, we hope, with 433 laps completed at Martinsville Speedway. Just gone out on lap 440 with 60 to go now with Rusty Wallace leading. Rusty has picked up the 5 bonus points for leading the most laps here today.
There's Rusty and Ernie Irvin.
Waltrip is third, then Mark Martin and Morgan Shepherd the top 5. Coming up next, live from New York, the 1994 NFL Draft with Chris Berman and company. Stay with us for that. Every selection, either on ESPN or ESPN2.
This is what we saw the last time, Ned. When the tires are cold, looks like that Rusty gets a little bit of advantage. After a few laps, looks like Ernie's car might become better. So, will it happen again? It was interesting that last time when they made the pit stop that Rusty Wallace's crew put a little fuel in his car. They don't need it again. So evidently they were putting in the fuel in for balance, to get the car balanced exactly the way that Rusty liked. A little bit of weight in the rear of the car, where Ernie Irvin, his team chose not to put fuel in his car.
You would think the strategy would be to not put fuel in. The lighter the car is, theoretically, the faster it runs, but maybe that isn't the case with...
As they use fuel, the cars become heavy on the front wheel, as fuel is used out of the rear. So evidently Rusty Wallace wanted to get more weight on the rear wheels.
Mark Martin and Rusty, or rather Darrell Waltrip, are in third and fourth position. Notion, didn't he?
He did have a notion. He took a look. I can't make that.
Well, we think Bobby Labonte, he was running so good at the first of the race, but now he's back there in 21st position, 4 laps down. Been struggling for the last while. He had an unscheduled pit stop and just hasn't been going as good as he did earlier.
Jeff Burton being thrown out of the race in 36th position. The only other car out of the race was John Andretti, who was shown in 33rd.
Well, Jeff Bodine's car is behind the wall. They're still working on it, but I guess he's not officially out of the race.
Looks like Martin was out of the race. Yeah, I agree with you. As a matter of fact, there goes his score right beside of us down towards the pit area.
So that means he's out of the race.
If he's out. Evelyn Andrews, the wife of crew chief Paul Andrews, just left the score stand.
These guys are racing for position one lap down for 10th as Musgrave goes into 10th, passing Dale Earnhardt. And behind him on the lead lap is Morgan Shepherd, who's had a great run. He's in 5th, and Rick Mast in 6th. John Kernan has more.
Well, you know, the Wood brothers have tried to sell that race car that they're running on this racetrack today a number of times over the past couple of years, and nobody wants to buy it. So they pulled it out of storage last week for the North Brooksville race. It's a car they call Old Ugly. It was a car that, if you remember back in the late 80s at Daytona when Neil Bonnett was driving for them, caught fire on the very first lap of the race. It's been rebuilt and sitting in storage until just a couple of weeks ago. It's one of those low snout cars, and they seem to have found something with it that they really like, because they've had a great run today, despite kidding on the backstretch.
Right behind Rick Mast, who, by the way, has only 3 career top 5 finishes in 130 starts. There's the battle between Todd Bodine and Chuck Barron for 7th.
Both these cars still on the lead lap.
In fact, they are the last 2 cars on the lead lap.
7th and 8th.
Rusty Wallace could win the Unical bonus money here today if he continues to lead and win this race. He was won twice at Martinsville. Jeff Bodine in 90 and Ernie Irvin in the fall of last year. But a nice little bonus check of $98,800 to Rusty Wallace, who was our pole sitter, if he can win the race today.
You said that is so nonchalant.
Well,
$98,800 is a lot of money where I come from.
Into me, Benny.
Man. That's a great shot from Rusty Wallace's car. Nobody in front of you other than lap cars.
First, for a lot of ones on that snapshot, isn't there?
Yes.
His lowest was 8, and he has led 269 laps. And as I told you earlier, of course, has picked up the 5 bonus points. Underneath the car we go. He's running with himself, by himself, for the most part, and so the brake should not get a whole lot of punishment here, although we do see a little.
Goes down in the 3rd corner as accelerating off the 4th corner. Here's a race for position.
Yep. 3rd place at stake here.
Darrell Waltrip has it. Mark Martin wants it.
While we watch this battle, hats off to all of our technical crew for sweeping the Emmys in New York last week. Speed World was nominated in 3 categories, and we won all 3 for technical team remote, audio, and technical innovation.
That's pretty good.
That is tremendous, guys. That's one reason why our race coverage is so popular. Don't give us all the credit. Believe me, the guys behind the scenes are the Emmy Award winners in this particular situation. And certainly when you talk about in-car cameras and technical innovation, the name that comes to mind is Jack Foster, who worked with us for many, many years and died of a heart attack at Daytona earlier this year. But Jack, they won you an Emmy. And you certainly had a big role in it. We'll take a break and be back with more coverage of the Haynes 500 from Martinsville. Rusty Wallace is leading at the moment. 459 laps.
recovery shot.
That's in the box for it, Bob.
Well, Clay Earls and Clay Campbell have once again groomed the Martinsville Speedway to perfection for our first race of the '94 season here at the Martinsville Speedway. What is that, Benny?
A box wheel.
Is it?
Yes.
It's pretty, whatever it is. It's right outside up on top of the wall in turn 1 and 2. And in 3 and 4, for that matter, also. Here comes our leader, Rusty Wallace.
The second place, Ernie Irvin, and I don't know, it looks like the distance has just about stabilized now. If Ernie can start inching his way towards the front, we're going to have ourselves a pretty exciting race here at the end.
35 laps to go.
There's only one car between he and the leader, Jeff Gordon. We're several laps down. Jeff will not give Ernie any kind of problem once he gets there. There's a third place car, Mark Martin from Abilene Ford. This is on top of Mark's car. And there's Darrell Walker. He's fourth place car. The 16th car, Head Mustang, the Family Channel car, passed Darrell Walker, but has moved out a little bit.
Rick Mast and Todd Bodine are contesting 6th.
Todd Bodine has caught Rick Mast and is trying to get by him as he sees put a little distance on the 12th car of Chuck Bowden.
Todd's working on Rick right now.
He sure is.
And that little wiggle of the tail of the car as he came off the corner, that's the aggressive. Says, I want that spot. Well, he's on the inside.
He may get him here. He set up really well going into 3, allowing him to get to the inside, down the front stretch into 1, and yes, Bodine goes to 6th.
You know how many races that Todd Bodine had run before he got this Winston Cup ride? Bush, all the Saturday night races he's ever done, whatever. About 100.
Wow.
That's not amazing. When he moved to North Carolina, he worked on a race car as a mechanic for 5 or 6 years before he ever started driving. So he's an excellent mechanic, fabricator. He and Coach Mott do a very good job with that 75 car. And you see the 12 car, Chuck Bowden has caught Rick Mast, and Rick, car wiggle off the corner. Chuck's trying to get on the inside.
There he does. Rick gives him some room down there. He's got it.
Chuck Bowden, of course, has put many laps on this track in bush racing, and he has just turned in an outstanding performance this afternoon in Bobby Allison's car.
Started from a provisional spot.
Yep, he's up to 7th.
See now, folks, if you're coming and you had your sponsor on his car, every time I said Chuck Bowden, I'd say, there's Chuck Bowden, the XYZ Corporation car. You missed it.
Pole sitter earlier this year. How's Rusty doing? Just fine, thank you. We ride along with him. However, the interval between Wallace and Irvin has shrunk from 1.6 to 9/10 of a second.
It really is. You can see it at the racetrack.
I think most of this gain is in traffic. I think that
could be. Yeah.
once again, Rusty, as he runs across traffic, as he has to move up the racetrack on the outside, he has problems with that. Problems that Ernie Irvin, obviously he has problems, but not as much as Rusty Wallace. Now on the bottom of the racetrack in the groove, I think Rusty is just as fast as Ernie. So I guess it really depends on how much traffic they run across as to whether Ernie can catch him or not.
We shall see in a little more than 25 laps. Right now, Rusty leads Ernie. Mark Martin third, Darrell Waltrip carrying the Chevrolet colors in the top 5, and Shepard is 5th. So are we going to have a quick off or what? Closing laps of the Haynes 500 from Martinsville Speedway in Virginia that Rusty Wallace is leading. Remember last year when Rusty swept the short track season? Well, it hasn't been that way this year. We have had 3 different winners in the first 3 races, Irvin, Earnhardt, and Terry Labonte, but Rusty is leading this one and could pull off the victory as the 98 car of Derek Cope is smoking badly.
Yeah, a lot of smoke coming from the rear of the fingerhood car.
On the bumper cam, you can see
a trail of smoke.
Yeah, it is, and oil or something. Here's the 17 and the 21 battling for 4th position, Waltrip and Morgan Shepherd.
Bob, you mentioned when you went to break there a moment ago that Darrell Waltrip was the only Chevrolet in the top 5. He's only Chevrolet in the top 10.
That's right, yep.
Chevrolet leads the Fords by 1 now as far as victories are concerned. Looks like it'll be evened up here today.
Sure looks that way. I think that, yeah.
4-3 right now in terms of race wins, although 8 poles for the Fords this year. And Jerry Punch has more on Derek Cope.
After being black flag to come down pit road for smoke and now push the Fingerhut Ford back behind the wall. Apparently the rear end gear has come out of the car just about 20 laps shy of the completion here today.
Well, Derek was running in the 22nd position before he had his problem.
And guys, don't look now, but
Ernie Irvin is right there. Yeah, he is definitely closing in and could make a race of it. We are going to be going apparently just a little bit past 3:30. We only have 16 laps to go, so we're not going to go past 3:30 very much. Needless to say, we're going to stay with this race to its conclusion. However, please don't be mad at us if we don't have Rusty and in victory lane. You will see it on the re-air, but we got to get to the NFL draft as quickly as possible.
Rusty or whoever's in
or whoever, or Ernie Irvin,
or whoever.
Yes.
See Jeff Gordon quickly get out of the way and let these guys go and settle it between themselves.
It won't, among those whoever's won't be Jeff Gordon.
No, he had some problems, got caught up in a wreck not of his own making, and what he is
106 laps down, Dad.
34th position.
And right now, Ernie Irvin's car is a little bit quicker. I think he's going to catch Rusty in the last 12 laps or 13 laps, but...
And he passes.
Well, Rusty's car will really hug that inside, and you can rest assured he'll keep her right there.
The widest. He's still having trouble coming off the corner, isn't he?
Well, yeah, most of them do, really. After they've been on the tires for a while, they slip coming off the turn, and they have to find that steering wheel. You see Wiggle as he came off the corner. Ernie's car came off the straight.
Coming up on 11 laps to go now.
Rusty Wallace has to go by these cars. If he catches them at the wrong spot, it could mean doomsday for you. Oh, contact between Rusty and Jay Hedgecock. Like I said, if he catches them at the wrong place, it could be doomsday.
Hung on to the lead, but did it damage the car in any way?
Rusty was hustling to get back to the inside just as quick as he could, and Jay Hedgestock went off down in the corner and they made some contact.
Who's running third? Martin.
Yep. He's back pretty far. He might be in the best seat.
I was going to say, you may be right.
Never know.
There's Mark. And that little square hole you see right in the middle of the picture, that's where the cars take their air for the carburetor. That's the area inlet for the carburetor. That's the back of the hood.
We're going to show you our final Napa field summary and make notation because we probably are not going to be able to give you the field rundown when we go off the air. So this could be close to the final field rundown. Again, we're going to have to get off the air as quickly as possible to go to the draft. And there are less now than 7 laps to go.
Rick Mast has just gone a lap down.
That puts 7 cars on the lead lap. With Chuck Bound, the final car. The same lap as the leader, Rusty Wallace. 6 to go.
Slow cars, Spencer, he has to go by. There's Michael Walker right up in front of Rusty. Red Bodine.
Michael Walker has gotten very slow here the last lap or so.
And now Rusty is catching this group at the right time.
Yes, he caught Michael Walker just perfect going down in turn 1.
And Ernie caught him wrong.
Exactly. Ernie caught Ernie on the outside, and we can see that Ernie lost.
Same thing right there.
Yep. That makes a difference. Another car lap or so.
Rusty now has a 10-car length advantage, and once again, it's all because of how you catch the traffic.
And it was not that the traffic did anything wrong. They moved out of the way. It was just where they caught him going into the turn. Rusty caught him right. Ernie was a victim of circumstances there.
This will complete lap 497. We have 3 more laps to go. Those of you just joining us for the NFL Draft, we are in the last 2 laps of this NASCAR Winston Cup race here at Martinsville. We'll be going to New York City very, very shortly. Next time around, they will come down and get the white flag. Chris Berman and all the crew standing by for the NFL Draft. Lap. Rusty Wallace leads Ernie Irvan. And Rusty is about to pick up $98,800 in Unocal bonus money by winning the Haynes 500 here this afternoon. If he can negotiate turns 3 and 4 and take the checkered flag. Here he comes off the 4th corner, and Rusty Wallace wins the Haynes 500 by just car lengths over Ernie Irvan. Martin finishes unofficially 3rd, then Darrell Waltrip, Morgan Shepherd, Todd Bodine, and Chuck Bound, the 7 cars on the lead lap. Next week, we will be at Talladega Super Speedway in Alabama for the Winston Select 500. Please join us for that event. Once again, it is Rusty Wallace, Ernie Irvan, Mark Martin, Darrell Waltrip, Morgan Shepherd, top 5 here this afternoon. For Ned Jarrett, Benny Parsons, John Kernan, and Dr. Jerry Punch, this is Bob Jenkins. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. Stay tuned for the NFL Draft. For now, this is Bob Jenkins. So long, everyone.
Big wave to him over here. Coming out. Yeah, baby. It's all yours. Come on. Jerry, it's all yours.
Thanks, Bob. They are celebrating down here. Rusty Wallace, a big smile. Your short track wins are back. The first one in 1994. Congratulations.
Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Had a really good car today. I guess I was just speeding a little bit too much in pit road. Thought it was going to be tough from there on out, but man, I tell you, had a good car. This Ford Thunderbird is flat kick butt today.
You know, the pit stops were incredible, but pits were so congested today.
They really were, and that's the advantage of, having a good pit selection like we did and qualifying well. But I just like to say thanks to Miller, Mobile, Bosch, AC, not AC. Used to have, it's Bosch. A little wore out right now. Hey, them Goodyear tires were good today. It was really good. Mazak, all of them.
We watched you on the in-car cameras. It looked like you really took it easy on the brakes today.
Well, I did. I was getting out of gas real early around the start-finish line, just coasting it in. But when I ran out of time and I got way back in the back, I had to kind of throttle up again, and I was just hoping the brakes would hold up. I had good brakes. I had a hard pedal, but the car wouldn't stop.
Ernie caught you with a few to go. It looked like he was going to make a run at you with just about 3 or 4 laps left.
Well, that's what good racing's all about. You know, he come up to me, and I can't tell you I saved anything. I didn't. I gave it all I got, and he gave it all he got, and he just come up short, and I won.
$98,800 additional from Unocal. Congratulations on winning the Haynes 500 for the 2nd year in a row.
Well, thank you very much. I'm sure Mr. Penske liked that money.
98 grand plus the purse here at Martinsville, Bob, and Rusty Walsh walks away with the win for the 2nd year in a row.
Radio, oh, here you are.